What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wait What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 78. My name is Brett, aka Enigma9011, and today, once again, I'm joined by the crew. We got Jeff, aka Jeff Reg, and Brent, aka Uber Brent. Guys, thank you for being on the podcast once again. I don't know how many times you guys have been on. The numbers are racking up each time.
I want to say we're either tied for same view or heading towards most.
Yeah,
times. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Suck it, Steve Martin.
If you guys want to catch this podcast live, you can go over to twitch.tv/Enigma911 every other Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, unless we pre-record or we do it a little later. You can catch it live. Join on the conversation with us. We'd love to have you. It always makes it a little bit more interesting. But if you can't catch it live, you can always go over to YouTube and SoundCloud. Just search Enigma911, where it's posted in full as one big video in MP3 for your amusement the following Friday. Remember, guys, hashtag ad merch store. It's not around too much longer, so grab your swag. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand. Support us. Yeah, I know I keep saying it's going away. I don't know when it runs out, but still, take advantage of it. Yeah, Sarah, get on it. What the hell? Come on. And that's it. I don't know why I felt like I had another thing to say, but yeah. Hi, Artemis. It will. So, yes, we have... Obviously, hi, we have Jeff and Brent on today, and Artemis apparently, and we're going to be talking a whole lot of video games for you guys.
Hell yeah.
So, want to kick off today. Obviously, we're shifting into a new generation of consoles, so I kind of wanted to take a look back on the PS4 era, Xbox One era, and yes, maybe even a little Nintendo era, if Jeff's going to throw his wrench in there, and talk
about last gen. Don't just toss out.
Nintendo's in this gray area of like in between, doing their own thing. So
you just don't want to do the math.
I don't. I already wrote down 100+ games of this gen. I'm like,
do the math because Xbox and PlayStation like release their consoles at roughly the same time, and
Right.
then like you have to wait like 6 months to 3 years for a Nintendo thing, and it's just like
Yeah, Nintendo just does whatever Nintendo wants.
Mismatched ladders next to each other.
right. It's
and
all.
you have OCD.
It's all confusing. So mainly we're going to be talking about those two, just shouting out some of our favorite games, talking about them, just nerding out, geeking out, etc. I think I might have went a little bit overboard in preparing for this myself. As I mentioned, I made a big-ass list of Xbox games I had played and a big-ass list of PS4 games I had played. I had tried to not do remakes, remasters, etc., so they should all be original. But
I would say you should be able to allow a remaster if it expands upon enough.
So things like Resident Evil remakes, I included FF7. I included. I didn't do like. Let's see. Hold on. Mm-hmm.
See, that's interesting.
What about like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot?
I did include those.
Those are
something that was like ported to next gen.
The Resident Evil, because like that's now like.
That's a fundamentally different game at that point.
Yeah. Yep. Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 and 3 are Nemesis. They're fundamentally different games, but like then again they remade. It was a full remake of Final Fantasy VII, but it's not the whole game yet. So.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's different. Even though Brent and I haven't had that conversation yet. Yikes!
We're gonna have tiers and levels, and
it's a whole thing.
Me throwing Nintendo is the least of our problems.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I made these giant lists, and then I kind of put stars next to the one I wanted to talk about and kind of at least say was my favorite. So I don't know how we want to do this. I guess we could just go one at a time, just going down the list. I'll say one, Jeff says one, and then Brent says one, and we can talk about them all obviously as we go, and then go from there. We don't have to go through the entire list, but just ones that you enjoyed, just ones that you loved, had a good time. So I'm going to start with Batman Arkham Knight. Solid game. Had a lot of fun with it. I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I enjoyed it.
Almost a year ago now, where it was almost a year that I finally beat the game.
Finally.
I would agree. There were some problems where it didn't quite. I wouldn't say problems, but there were some areas where it didn't quite live up to what I think it could have done. But
Okay.
I would argue it's definitely like of the previous generation. Like, I would say it's a must-have. Like, if you're gonna include a list of games that like this is one of the best stuff from this generation, yes, it should be on almost everybody's list, unless like Batman killed your parents.
Well,
that's a twist.
Let's not talk about my parents in front of Batman.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, conclusion of the story. Obviously, they expanded on the open worldness of City. adding the Batmobile. I know a lot of people didn't like the tank missions per se. I thought it was a nice change of pace from time to time. It definitely took flying out of, well, not out of the equation, but you definitely did less of it. I felt like I was driving around way more than gliding around, at least when it came to big treks. Obviously, if you're doing the mission where it's in a consolidated area, then you do more of the gliding, but I felt I did that more. I thought all the characters were strong. I really enjoyed Scarecrow's portion in it and how they wove the Joker stuff into the, obviously, the gas and the fear toxin. There we go. Jesus. So yeah, I just really enjoyed it and had a blast playing it. Jeff, what were your? You said you had some things that were kind of like, I don't know, hindrances.
Some of the Batmobile stuff was, it kind of felt like they forced it in, like making so many of the Joker or the Riddler things.
Oh, okay.
Like some of those were just, especially if you're trying to get, like the high score and everything. Some of those races, oh my god.
Fair enough.
Go ahead.
You get around faster in the Batmobile. It's more fun, like traversing by rooftops, though, I would say.
Fair.
So I don't know, but then, like, honestly, I want to see that game, but with like Nightwing, because like you'd see him moving around, like you'd see Spider-Man moving around. I think that
you would think, yeah, with the screaming sticks,
running and flipping and.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that game to me, it just ultimately feels a little forgettable to me. I played it when it came out back in 2014, 15.
I didn't write down dates. I don't know. No.
I think it was 16. Now that I think about it.
16 sounds right.
Okay.
I got it. Yeah, 16.
Damn, was that when I was in California? Shit. Okay. Yeah.
15 or 16. It's one of the two.
Right.
Yeah, like the game was good. I enjoyed it. I've liked all the Batman games. I played them all to completion. Like I remember kind of broad strokes, like some of the big plot twists and things like that. But like, I don't know that anything about that game like really stuck with me in the same way. Like I can think back to bigger moments from like Asylum and City that I think had a bigger impact on me, and I think by the time Arkham Knight rolled around, it was more just they made another one of those awesome, and it looks better, and they brought the Batmobile, which sometimes was not for the best. Yeah, I will not begrudge anybody who would put that on a list. It would not personally make anywhere near the top of mine. But it was a competent, fun game that, I start to finish enjoyed, I guess.
All right. Cool. Jeff, what do you got?
For game, or are we still talking about Arkham?
Go a game. I think we got Arkham.
So I'm probably going to be not in a majority here, but like a game that really stands out last gen for me that I really, really enjoyed so much that I bought it twice. Dishonored 2.
Okay.
I would argue that that's one of the best stealth action games, not just in like last generation, but gaming as a whole. You have nice open levels. You have, for the most part, you have some that are smaller, more confined. You have a lot of options on how you want to approach it. It kind of plays like a first-person, like supernatural combat version of the newer Hitman games. You have a lot of freedom on how, because you guys, you saw, I did a playthrough where it was full stealth, no one ever sees me, never avoiding all fights, and then I went and I just murdered everybody in another playthrough, and you get so many more options in the second one, and they took everything they learned from the first one, they improved on almost every single aspect of the gameplay. And everything you do in the first one now, if you start a new game plus, you get to carry over everything you had. So you can do like the stealth version, take all of those bonuses that you got and you never got to use, and then just pile them onto your new character, who's then immediately super powered right at the beginning, and then they get their whole own set of powers.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun. And there's some really good like they approach combat and environmental situations as a puzzle, a lot the same, like much the same way that the first two Arkham games did. Where like you have You have an area, you have enemies. The puzzle is figuring out, you can do it where you can take everyone out perfectly and never be seen and never get hit, or you can, come flapping out of the darkness, head first, rolling, and land on your butt in front of them, and your only option is to grab a plate off the table and throw it at them.
Sure.
But it's a lot. It speaks to I would say there's a hard. I feel like games sometimes have a hard time balancing between player choice and the story they want to tell.
Oh.
And I think it runs a really fine line down the middle of that.
I would definitely agree with.
A lot of people didn't. I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I don't think a ton of people played Dishonored 2.
I guess speaking to what you just said there, like, I am somebody who did not play Dishonored 2. I bought Dishonored 1, and it just didn't grab me. It's a game I like watching other people play. I think it's a very interesting game. I like the setting. I'm a big fan of the setting, like kind of the Victorian style, kind of steampunky.
It's like almost steampunky industrial revolution.
Yeah. Which I like that all of that's really great. And like when they showed off the very first trailer for Dishonored 1 and even the one for Dishonored 2, like thematically I was like, yes, I'm totally into this. But something about the gameplay just I just couldn't wrap my head around, or it didn't click with me in a way that I was super interested in playing it. So I kind of bounced off that one a little bit. But like again, that's something where when I watch somebody who is competent play the game, I'm very much like, okay, no, this is neat. I like, I'm a fan. It's just, it was one that didn't personally click with me. It's the same. It's the Skyrim.
Like you
it's
have
the Skyrim thing for me.
It
where
hits like a certain niche where it's almost like. What was the Skyrim game where picking locks, like you had to go in and get like every little thing as it went over? Was that? Oblivion.
Was that Skyrim?
Oblivion.
I mean, that happens in Skyrim. Where
Yeah,
you have to pick locks
you need
stuff.
the like
Yeah,
you go up and it would like hit
Was
different
it Fallout?
ones.
Are you talking about Fallout?
It might have been.
No, it's
Oblivion,
It's Oblivion where you have to like knock each of the tumblers up.
Oh yeah.
It's like that. Like you can get one or two, but like not as many people manage to get like all three like things of enjoyment out of it. There's something there. There's bits there for everybody, and even if you don't like playing it, it's a lot of fun to watch. But it didn't. I'm surprised it got a small follow-up, which I was surprised it got a sequel. The first one got a sequel. So.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off what Brent said 100%. The setting is great. I've played a little bit of one, but yeah, for some reason it just didn't click fully. Like, it's still on my backlog, and I'd like to go back and try it. I have two. Popogriff, did you play two? I don't remember. I know you played one. But yeah, that's obviously over there.
And I have that a little bit. Like, I love the stealth playthrough of it. When I go through and try and do it with the powers, it's like I could enjoy it more if I had more buttons. But like if I played it on PC, it'd probably be really easy. But like I definitely it's not as fun going through and you like having to the combat's competent. It's good. It's well designed. Blocks and attacking is good. But like doing it in a way that feels as good as sneaking around is difficult.
Yeah, Popogriff comments. He just played one. He couldn't figure out stealth to save his life. Yeah, I think I would get super frustrated. Like, I mean, okay, I'm playing through Sekiro now on stream. Like, even figuring out today, I'm like, okay, so we're gonna go this way, but then that guy's gonna see fucking. How do I death blow this boss with all these schmucks around? Like, come on.
Yep, I remember that life. Oh my god.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I can definitely understand why. Like Brent said, exactly the disconnect. Like, there's some cool aspects, and you enjoy watching it more than playing it. But yeah, that's a good choice. One question: did Dishonored 2? Was it 2 playthroughs? Like, you could play as Corvo and you could play as Elizabeth, Emily? Question mark.
Yeah, it's like the first game. You have actually there's more options because you can play through the game. You can play as Corvo or Emily.
Okay.
You can play through full stealth. You can play through full combat. You can do a middle run, or you can absolutely refuse to get any powers, and play through like that. You can actually turn down that option.
Did they have like different story paths, or was it essentially the same story, just who you're running with?
It's essentially the same
Okay.
story. There are some beats and things like that, but I mean,
Okay.
they fill the same role.
Gotcha.
You know?
It's just like what power set do you want or whatever.
Who's trying to regain their honor by sneak stabbing everybody.
Okay. All right. All right, Brent, what do you got for your first one? Unless you got some other comment that does Dishonored. Sorry.
No. I think I'm gonna go right for the big one here for me. I've got a whole list, and the list keeps growing as we're talking. But I'm gonna kind of boil this one down to one big talking point. So, FromSoft, this whole generation. Now, the one I'm gonna talk about is Bloodborne.
Okay.
Because that is the best game this generation. To me, hands down. Not even a conversation.
One of the best games ever.
Yeah, it's so hard to argue. But I guess before I get into Bloodborne too much, I want to give a shout out to Dark Souls 3, to Sekiro. Sekiro, I don't know how that game. Well, we're gonna get into Bloodborne. But, Sekiro is a fantastic game that is like, it's a game that was tailor-made for me. It's like, okay, we're gonna get hard Japanese like history, like Japanese voice actors. We're gonna get like the original VO in there, and I'm like, this is Brent's game. And there was like not enough RPG in there for like I liked that it made you get good at the game. Like you couldn't just grind your way out of situations. You had to get good. That was a fantastic game. And then Dark Souls is Dark Souls. I don't need to, beat that tree anymore. It's a fantastic game. Bloodborne. What a game. Like they make Dark Souls 1, which revolutionizes this whole genre. Like it creates a genre of game. Million copycats come out. And then they make Dark Souls 2, which is good, but maybe not quite as good as 1. And then Bloodborne rolls out, and it's like hard left, totally different setting. It's got that Victorian era sort of feel to it, witches and vampires, and it's like, okay, this is really neat. I'm super into this. And then about halfway through the game, it takes that hard turn and becomes this like weird eldritch horror, H.P. Lovecraft. And what makes the game so good is that existed the whole time. That stuff was always around you. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget like the thing that absolutely broke me was early on in the game. You walk out of it's the chapel after you kill Father Gascoigne.
Yep.
And there's a little graveyard off to your left, and there's like a set of armor sitting there. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I like pick it up, and I'm like, let me see what this looks like on my character. So I start equipping it all, and then I get picked up by nothing. Mm-hmm. Like my character just starts floating up, and like there's this little thing surrounding me, and then I just get one shot killed. And I'm like, what was that? Didn't think anything of it. Kept playing the game. Then you get to the point where your insight goes high enough that you can see the elder gods and all the like weird alien things that are around you. And it turns out that thing was up there the whole time. You just couldn't see him. Mm-hmm. Like those things are all over the game. It's just until you reach a certain point and your character has that revelation, mm-hmm. it doesn't exist. And when you realize that like weird thing is what's causing the Victorian vampire werewolf storyline, it has that hint. Oh my god, it comes full circle in such a good way. It's got some of the best fights in all of Soulsborne.
And it really is too. It does take a really hard turn into that kind of Cthulhu thing. But at the same time, like there's little hints everywhere that mm-hmm. like fit right in. Like there's a college that studies these ancient things. Yep. Like it's straight up like Lovecraftian. And it's always there, but until you get to that point where your insight's high enough and you get to, I think it's like after Rom, right?
Yeah. So that's what I was gonna say. Is that college is the gateway that leads you through the rest of the game. Like that, it's mm-hmm. you go through the college. And that's where they start talking about some of this stuff, and you're like, "What are they talking about? This doesn't have anything to do with witches or werewolves or anything. Like this is a weird turn." And then you fall into a lake because you have to, and you fight a giant weird celestial spider.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Up until that, I think the previous boss was 3 snake people in a forest.
Yeah. Well,
that's where I had to give
like there's one like little goofy Cthulhu dude, like kind of earlier on in the game, like in that same area where I was talking about getting picked up. There's one guy that makes no sense in the rest of the game.
I'm trying to
It's
remember.
so you have to go kill oh boy, Amelia, is that her name?
Vicar
In the
Amelia.
cathedral?
Ooh.
Yeah. You got to kill her, and then you get the thing to open. You open the gate and go down, and that's where you get the password to get further on into the game with like the snakes in the woods. And like
Yeah.
on your way
Yeah.
down there, there's one thing off in an alcove that you can totally miss, but it's just like a little Cthulhu-y looking dude, and you're like, that's bizarre. But whatever. It's not a big deal. But like from there, and then when you go into that forest with the snakes, and if you get down into this little gully, there's these weird little celestial mushroom things. It like slowly starts to unravel until you hit that point where
It's
it all.
it's another example, and I feel like we with the exception of Arkham, like it works with Dishonored too, but it's uh, storytelling through gameplay.
Yes. Well, that's
Where you're
all from
finding,
games, which
yeah.
that's one thing they don't beat you over the head with the story. Like the story is there for
No,
you
if
to
anything, they
find.
don't give you enough, and you have to go online.
then you
Is
go
there a
check
reason?
out Vadi Vidya and you get the real story of what's
Like,
happening.
I gotta learn Japanese so I can import the tie-in novelization.
Yeah.
God, I wish that was a thing. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that I was just talking about this the other day because I love that game. I thought it was the first game I got for my PS4. Actually, my buddy Zach bought it for me. He bought me my PS4. He's in the Navy. He lives out on the East Coast, and I don't remember how we got on it, but he just bought it for me out of the blue one time as like a Christmas gift. And the game came first, and I was like, "Oh, Bloodborne's awesome, but like I can't play this." And he's like, "Oh, did it not get there yet?" And I spent the next 6 hours sitting at my front door like a dog waiting for the mail. But it is such an amazing. Like I would put it up there, not in the same way that it's up there as like games as art, but it's up there in terms of quality with Shadow of the Colossus for me.
Yeah.
And atmospherically, it's kind of the same, but it is.
To me, Bloodborne is my game of the last generation as a whole. Like, there's no game that works on as many levels and is as consistently fun and frustrating.
That's what I was getting to. It's so unforgiving.
Oh yeah.
And like being a parent with no pause feature.
Sekiro's the one for you, dog.
I probably never will. But like I was talking about the other night, like when I had insomnia, I was like, okay, I know I need to go to bed because I'm considering streaming Bloodborne again.
Yeah, I remember that too. He was like, "What?"
This is not a thought I would have if I was in a healthy headspace.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk.
There are parts of it that are legitimately like touching too.
Like there's tragedy in that game, and
there is the little girl at the beginning. You
like
never see her, but you talk to her through the window.
Yep, and even the story of Gehrman, which they get into in the expansion.
The old hunters.
Yeah, the old hunters. Like when you realize what that expansion is, and then who the doll is. It's everything about From games are depressing. I've never walked out of a From game like, yeah, life's great.
Well, you clearly haven't played Metal Wolf Chaos then.
Yeah, that's true. I've not played Metal Wolf Chaos. Yeah, I could talk for hours and hours about just Bloodborne, let alone the rest of the FromSoft games, but like that for sure, without a doubt, to me is my game of the generation.
Nice. Yeah, I've only played a little bit of Bloodborne, but I've enjoyed what I played of it. I talked it once been on stream as we're playing through Sekiro. I'm like, I'm doing better and feel more confident with this one. Maybe I should have done this with Bloodborne, just played it more consistently. Yeah. Like, if you take that break between it, it's just a lot of muscle memory you got to regain and relearn, essentially.
Also, you don't know what you're doing if you take a break. You're like, okay, this part of the city looks almost like every other part of the city.
True.
Do I have like a mission? No, I have nothing. Oh, crap. Okay, well, time to go to YouTube to see if I can find a video that has where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bloodborne also is a game, like most Souls games, that early on in the game it is just inherently difficult. Like your character is under-equipped and under-prepared for most challenges.
Mm.
And as you get deeper into the game, you're stronger, you've got better tools at your disposal, your weapons are better. Like you tend to get in a better place by the end of that game than you would be otherwise. So that's it's.
I will say I did handicap myself by insisting on using the threaded cane.
I beat that whole stupid game with the threaded cane because of you
I
guys.
really wanted
So
to because I was like, it's got a little bit of Castlevania to it. I want to use a whip, but then you never get another whip weapon in the game. Not really. There's
No.
one other thing that you kind of get, but it's not. It's not as cool. So
yeah, I beat
And it's
that
not a
game
strength
with the
weapon,
true
so-
best weapon, which is the saw cleaver. Even though it's like literally like it's on the box of the game. Like it's so like
It's a starting weapon, yeah.
yeah.
I know a lot of people who do that though. They just use that. You know?
That game, it's a great weapon.
All
I'll
right.
pass the torch here. I know we have a lot of games to go over.
Yeah, I don't know how.
10 minutes per game is a bad.
Always an extra long.
Maybe just like a quick thought on.
I did joke around with Kate. It was like, how much are we betting that this is going to be an over 3-hour podcast?
Well, yeah, I was about to say like we're not even gonna get to the other two topics.
Sorry, YouTube viewers, no full video.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
YouTube doesn't allow us
I
to
part
post
it
videos
anyway.
this long.
okay, so I'm going to group a bunch together like Brent did to kind of save time.
I like that.
So I'm going to make it the fighting game category because I thought there was a lot of strong fighting games this generation.
I'm a big fan of this.
Okay, so the big one I think that takes it overall is going to be Mortal Kombat X. I think that was the top. Killer Instinct was another great one. That was a whole new franchise I didn't even know about until obviously the Xbox One version.
You never played the Super Nintendo Killer Instinct?
I did not.
Killer Instinct.
Baby.
Everyone was like a single color, and they all looked like robots.
There's only one robot.
If I hear you spout that blasphemy about Orchid ever again, I know where you live.
Let's see. Injustice 2 was fantastic. I like that one way more than Justice 1. And the story was fantastic. Marvel's Capcom Infinite was a blast of excitement and then not the best follow-up, but the gameplay was good. The rest, not so much. Let's see. Obviously, Mortal Kombat 11 was fantastic. Street Fighter 5 was good. Tekken 7 didn't play much of, but obviously it was a good time. I want to make sure I'm not missing any. Oh, I played a little bit of Guilty Gear Revelator. XRD, that was fun. But yeah, MKX, I think, was the top one for me. This one, like, I don't know what it did, but it just came across and just like, you're going to be into Mortal Kombat heavy now, and you're going to try and learn things and, like, pay more attention to fighting games instead of just mashing all the buttons, and you're going to take that knowledge and go to other fighting games. Go back to Marvel 3, relearn that. Go to the arcades and learn King of Fighters 13, because you're like, nobody's sitting at this cabinet. Why not sit there and just play it? Like, I don't know. That game was awesome. And like I said, obviously, the other games like Injustice 2 and Mortal Kombat 11, if you don't have MKX, obviously you're not getting that. There was leaps and bounds in, obviously, the graphical department each time with the models to the facial animation to the whole graphical intensity that is Mortal Kombat 11 and showmanship, I guess you could call it. I don't fucking know. It was a lot of fun. I think MK11 looks great, and it kept the story going for what MKX did. 11 kind of loses a little bit of the fun aspect that 10 had, excuse me. For some reason with 10, you could just keep playing. I mentioned it, I think, in another podcast also, but the tower mode, you could just keep going in there. Same with Injustice 2. It was a lot of fun. Injustice 2 had the gear. 11 tried to use the gear, but it's like you can get this little vial on your pocket that you can change. And I'm like, I'm not going to see that 90% of the time while we're fighting. Why am I customizing this? So
I'm moving too damn fast for this to mean anything.
Right. So while 11's story was fantastic, and you know, obviously the roster was really good, but it lacked that fun factor that 10 did. So like 10 was just amazing. So yeah, a shout out to all the fighting games of this generation. A lot of good ones.
Yeah, since we're shouting out fighting games, I'm gonna throw a couple in there too that I found myself particularly enjoying. I fell into a deep rabbit hole of Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That game was super good. It's a It's an assist game, so you've got two characters. It's like a mashup of Blaze Blue and Under Night in Birth and Persona 4 Arena Max, and Ruby was in there, which was
Yep.
really awesome. Like it brought all these disparate worlds together, and like I never got super into the single player aspect. Like the story mode was kind of whatever, but the game itself was very fun. I played an awful lot of that game. I also want to give a big shout out to Dragon Ball Fighters.
Can't believe I forgot
That game, I was terrible at. I was very bad at that game. But that's another one like I go to pretty regularly when there's not, global pandemics. I go to big fighting game tournaments like Frosty Faustings and Combo Breaker, stuff like that.
For Windjammers.
Yeah, don't get me started on Windjammers. Holy shit. Like those going to those places and watching like those big hype tournaments for things like Dragon Ball Fighters is incredible. Especially like you get the crowd roaring and stuff like that. Actually, a game I didn't even play, but I watched played at Frosty Faustings that blew me away was Soul Calibur.
Soul Calibur 6.
6?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my god. I was at the edge of my seat watching people play at a high level for Soul Calibur 6.
Yeah.
And it was insane. That game I would love to get into, but just fighting game it's hard to get me into a fighting game because I know the struggle of trying to learn it and be good at it. But
Gotcha.
yeah, all fantastic fighting. This was a very good renaissance for fighting games that I hope continues.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can't add much to the fighting game thing because I prefer couch co-op fighting.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I like having people in the same room. It's not the same when I'm playing online because when I inevitably lose, I don't have a cord that I can wrap around someone's throat and win that way. So it's if there's not somebody actually in the room and you can't like rib on each other during the fight and stuff, it just doesn't hold my attention. So
Right. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
If, when it's somebody in the room, like even if you're getting your ass kicked consistently, you're still having fun. You know?
Yeah.
But if you're just losing online, it's just like fuck this. I'm gonna go make popcorn.
It depends on. Go ahead.
I'm definitely a bigger fan of like going to locals and stuff again. Which again, when it's not a global pandemic, like there are groups out there that you can like physically meet up and have these local tournaments and events that like are a blast to be a part of. Looking forward to doing those again.
Yeah, online's always frustrating because every game's got their different net code, how it works, how's the frame data, lag, whatever, etc.
Oh god.
But yeah, I definitely agree. The couch co-op is the best, especially when you got someone who actually cares and like wants to try and get good too, or at least be competitive in the way like, oh, we're having fun.
Yeah.
Like speaking of Dragon Ball Fighters, I brought it down to my cousin's house and he hadn't played it before. We just picked it up and he was picking up on it fast, and after an hour or two, like it was pretty competitive back and forth. I'm like, man, this is a lot of fun. I don't care, win, lose, draw, whatever. It's dramatic and high paced and just going and having a good time. So yeah,
a lot of hype finishes in
exactly.
Dragon Ball Fighters.
Yes, definitely. Jeff, you got another one?
So Brent said something earlier that reminded me of this. I don't remember exactly what it was. It might have been when he was digging on exclusives.
Go on.
Not really a game so much, but of the last console generation, Game Pass.
Okay.
It's not, like I said, it's not a game, but like
Yeah.
as a feature of the previous generation, like it was a game changer.
Oh, 1,000%. You're a fool to not have Game Pass in some capacity. Like I'm going to buy an Xbox Series X, and I'm sure we'll get to this with new consoles a little bit more. But like I'm buying it for Game Pass. I will never purchase a physical disc or purchase a downloaded game for my Xbox Series X when I get it. It is there to be a Game Pass machine. I'm just being straight. Like so you're telling me I never have to buy an exclusive Microsoft game because I can just subscribe to this and get all of them?
Right.
All right. Sure.
I
can't.
But like, yeah, no, it's like before, the generation before that, you still had PlayStation Plus and you had Xbox Live. You got like what, one, 2 games
2 a month.
Yeah.
a month, and then like games with gold. What that did though for like, I would say that Game Pass probably single-handedly the biggest push for digital games on consoles.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
The biggest argument, like, digital is a possible legitimate future for consoles. Game Pass proves it. Like, it's not a game itself; it's a vehicle for games, but the effect that it had on the generation, it can't be understated. So,
Yeah,
I don't have there's not much I can say about it without getting into a specific game or anything, but
Fair.
like as a service that was introduced with the generation, definitely.
Like the big thing I guess I'll add to that is there are games, specifically indie games, that I think benefit the most from this because people are going to buy Halo, people are going to buy Gears. That's not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a giant handful of indie games that I always wanted to get to and just couldn't afford, or like didn't play it at the time, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I missed this. Um, I I played Indivisible, I played The Messenger, I played um, God, I'm
What
I'm
is it?
blanking on a couple of them now.
What's the one that looks like it's watercolors?
Gris.
Yeah.
Ladies' favorite game of the year, 2020.
What game?
Gris. Gris.
Oh, Grease. Yeah.
Gris.
That's
Grizz. Lady in the water.
I looked it up because I bought that game on PC when it first came out, and I was like, all right, I want to make sure I'm saying this right.
Gotcha.
Fun fact: that is the word gray. That's what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna get into how Brent was incorrect about certain video game words and names? This is a conversation I like having.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy. I mean, I'm typically wrong because I go for the star. I go for the stars, and I'm usually not right about it.
No, that's just
Yeah. No, that's
anytime I can bring up Marl.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I guess
I was a child. Let me have Marley, okay? My God. Yeah, no. That was Grease was a fantastic game, and it's another one that like a lot of people probably would have missed had it not been on Game Pass, and it's just free and available.
Mm-hmm.
Moonlighter, that's one of the other ones I played.
A lot of fun with Moonlighter.
And Children of Morta.
Mm-hmm.
Fun with that one.
Yeah, just a ton of games.
All right, Brent, what do you got next?
I suppose it's my turn, huh?
Yes, sir.
I guess in the interest of time, I'm gonna package up a couple games here.
Okay.
I'm gonna expand when we get into some of the big ones, but I want to talk about just a couple of different indie games because this was another great generation for indie games, arguably better than the last. Indie games continue to take bigger and bigger steps as the generations continue to move. The big ones that stood out to me this generation would be Celeste, just a classic platformer, puzzle platformer, I guess you could say. But like this one was like greatly elevated by its fantastic use of story and music. That game gets me every time, and one of the very few games I actually tried to get good at speedrunning and was like okay at. Hollow Knight, that was another fantastic game. Again, this one had a little bit of a Souls feel to it, but great setting, fantastic exploration. Story was really, really great. The music again was really, really great. Can't say enough good about Hollow Knight. And the other two I want to put in there are Outer Worlds. Did either of you play Outer Worlds?
Papa Griff did.
No, not Bethesda.
Or no. I'm sorry.
Outer Wilds.
Outer Wilds. Thank you.
I did not play that.
I knew I was gonna screw that up. Outer Wilds. Did either of you play that game?
I did. I liked it, but like I could not. And maybe it's because I was playing on Xbox. Could not ever control that damn ship.
No, that ship is terrible, and that's by design. But how far did you get into Outer Wilds? Just out of curiosity.
it wasn't so much how far as I got as how many deaths I got in a row very, very quickly. I
Did the sun explode?
No, I didn't get to that point. I know the story.
You died a bunch of times before the sun exploded?
Yeah. I'm really bad at landing.
Like, not to get too far into the weeds on this, it's a great game because it's got an extremely unique mechanic in terms of how it tells the story and what the game is about. And as I will guess, I just spoiled, the sun explodes, and it happens a lot. And it's a game that like has an end point, but it's a lot of like learning the universe and the way that things work. Like the gameplay is so intrinsically tied to how the story's told, and it's done in such an interesting way that like that was an experience. And like the more you learn, it's kind of like a bit of a tragedy too. It's so great. I can't say enough good about that. And then I guess the last one I wanted to throw out there was Undertale for indie games.
Wow, that
like
was this gen. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like that's what I keep. Undertale like is an institution unto itself. It's got some of the best character writing I've ever seen in a video game. It's got fantastic music. Its use of gameplay mechanics to tell its story is unmatched by anything. Like,
I don't know. I'm
it's
playing the
so
Undertale right now, and
you're playing what?
I'm playing the game that Toby Fox took a lot of inspiration from, but no, it's
right.
insane.
Oh, yeah.
Moon.
Yeah. No, like Undertale just does everything in such a like it tells you up front like, yo, this is what needs to happen, and you can choose to do it, but like you almost learn a little bit about yourself in that moment when you're really given the chance.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of exposes you to an extent. But I don't know that I've ever had feels for a game the same way that I had for Undertale. And it's fan base a little bit toxic.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I was gonna say like that. If I had to say anything against Undertale, like the fan base kept me from getting into Undertale for years.
It's one of those fan bases. It's a lot like Rick and Morty. I love Rick and Morty, but man, if I never talk to a Rick and Morty fan for the rest of my life, it'll be too soon. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's a great show. It's funny. It's clever. It's well written, and it is insufferable to talk to somebody who likes that thing.
I watched the shoot. We don't need to,
Yep. But yeah, that's on Undertale. That's another game I could go on for a long time about, but I won't.
Nice. All right. How about one
indie showcase for the night?
Yeah. I'll just assume it's still indie, even though Microsoft bought it. I was gonna tail end with Cuphead in there. That was fantastic.
Oh yeah, Cuphead, absolutely.
Yeah, I would argue. Oh well, no, Joe, you were gonna say something about that. Brent, I mean.
Oh, I was.
Yeah, you were about to do it.
Sounded
I
like
was gonna say I was gonna follow the indie thing up with one. It sounds like we're about to move on to the next topic. So.
Oh, I was gonna blitz through like last couple. So maybe
I still have a lot of faves to go.
There's a lot of games. Damn it.
Maybe we can just get into like one line.
Favorites don't carry over to like best of last year or whatever or this year. And...
Yeah, maybe for the rest of some of these faves from the previous era, we can just do little one-liners and keep moving.
Yeah.
We like games, viewers. That's why you're here.
Cuphead is great.
Yeah.
And the music is almost unmatched, and the animation is stupid good.
Oh yeah. Still waiting on the DLC, but that's okay.
Take your time,
yeah.
I don't care.
So like Jeff said, or Brent said too, I'm gonna kind of do my last pass of games, just kind of rapid fire the ones I have left and kind of give my quick comments, and then we'll go down the line once again. So I know a lot of people don't really had a good strong feeling for it, but Evolve was a lot of fun. I loved it. Never played multiplayer at all, but just played single player and just ran through the monsters with the different teams and the different characters. I thought it was unique. Yeah, Turtle Rock made it. I think it was early in the Xbox's launch.
It was very early on. on. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about though.
Yeah.
It looked like fun, but it looked like you had to have the right group of people.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I said, I
that
played
was
single
something
player.
That it needed.
I always felt that was something you would want to play with a group of friends, but
Yeah.
I didn't have that many people that wanted to play the game, so I never got into it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just played solo. It was a lot of fun. Along the same lines, another early release, Sunset Overdrive, was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I had a blast with that. I kind of want to go back and play it on stream. It's unfortunate that you got to delete all of your save data to do that. I hate games doing that, but whatever. Far Cry 5 was fantastic. I know some people hate the ending, but suck it. I love that game. I haven't played New Dawn. It's still on the backlog, but 5 was fantastic. Life is Strange 1 came out of nowhere. Bah! Just fucking.
That was gonna be the one. Like I don't know if it counts as indie, but
I mean, I count it.
I platinumed that game. I laughed. I cried again.
A lot of emotions.
I think I platinum
Stupid
twice,
good
yeah.
game. Oh my god. And did either of you play it like as the episodes were coming out?
I was late to the party.
Oh my
I
God.
might have played like. I think episode 5 like wasn't out yet, so I might have had the 1 through 4 span, and then waited.
That's almost worse.
I don't remember.
The cliffhanger of 4 is almost worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
got in
remember.
when the first episode was free, and it was on. I played it on my PS3, and then
Yep.
I think like the second episode had already come out. I got it when the third episode came out.
That was
That's
that
what I
was
got.
around that. I think that's what I did. Is I beat episode 1 and 2, and then 3 came out like the next day or two.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
That's when I got into it. But like playing that as things were coming out, like it was the same thing that I like about watching anime on a weekly basis, because you get that like cliffhanger and then
Oh,
you're
yeah.
just left to stew in it for a while. So like, you know, when you're talking Life is Strange and where you played it, where episode 4 hits and you're like, oh my god, is my character dead?
Right.
That
Ugh.
guy was the bad guy the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, we're going to the bad place now, right? Like, it just
Oh.
to have to stew in that for like a month
Oh, I can't
was
imagine.
insufferable.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another indie title, Overcooked and Overcooked 2.
Torture.
It's a great game. I need to play that with a human being at some point.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, both Overcooks. God of War was fantastic.
Yep.
Horizon Zero Dawn was fantastic.
Yep.
Kingdom Hearts 3 was nostalgia personified. Loved it. Yeah, I know, Jeff. I saw that look. Shove it.
I think Kingdom Hearts 3 was fine.
Fair.
That's the most I'll give it.
I think now it might be, the bias
It
of
was a game.
the old ones. I was just so happy and felt so much physical joy, like a knot in my chest, but a good knot when like playing through it. I wouldn't say it was the
Sure.
Younger than us, that he's still able to access that part of his childhood. Like he's just not old enough and jaded enough yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly old and dead for the most part, so.
Like, we've been waiting. Like we realized we've waited the same amount of time as you did, Enigma, between 2 and 3, but like it's so much. Like you were younger. That
Yeah.
time, some of those years went by faster for you than they did for us. You know.
fair. So yeah, I don't know. I love 3.
I enjoyed it. I'm never gonna play it again. It didn't sit with me the same way 1 or 2 did, I guess.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I like the things they changed with the world. I like the big open areas. I thought that was fun. Combat was fun. I kind of wish they added more of the theme park attractions. It kind of it's like you hit the last one pretty early. Yeah.
Oh, like with the triangle attack or whatever. That
Yeah, like you get the teacups and you get the boat and the water ride and stuff, and it was like,
That's
oh,
your-
we're done already? Okay.
that's your get out of jail free card. When
Yeah.
No.
Yep. Yeah.
Your special movie.
So yeah, I just had a lot of joy out of that one.
I will say the Neo Yokio part, like that was a really great area.
Which one?
The Neo Yokio part.
Oh
like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Big Hero 6.
Big Hero
area.
6. Yep.
Yep, that was like, that was the part that to me felt the most like, oh man, this like if more of this game was something like this, I think I would have
Gotcha.
jived with it more.
Gotcha.
The end of the game was great, and then that gave me some feels. Well, not the end of the game, the lead up to the end of the game, and then the end of the game I didn't like. But
okay.
I just want to confirm. You mean San Francisco, right?
oh yeah. What am I thinking of? What's Neo Yokio?
The Netflix show, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah, that's that terrible one made by, what was it, like Jaden Smith or something like that?
I was gonna say, like,
yeah, not that. San Fran Tokyo. That's the one. Yes, that one. Thank you.
Let's see. Marvel Spider-Man was fantastic.
Yup.
Resident Evil 7 was great. My first Resident Evil experience.
Can we just like all agree like pretty much every exclusive title Sony put out was a fucking gem?
That's what I've been avoiding because like I'm saving those for like the best of the like absolute best of the generation.
Fair enough.
Like
those are the ones that everyone like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn,
Uncharted 4.
Uncharted 4, Witcher 3. Like.
Witcher 3 was exclusive?
I didn't say it was exclusive.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Like, these are the obvious, like, the giants on the fucking hill.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Well, it's at the end of my list. Jedi Fallen Order. I had a blast with that game. And I mean,
that was a fun game.
It had the Souls mechanic where it was really tough, but then as you kept going, like, it got really, not easy, but like manageable. And I just had a lot of...
Jeff's face, he loved it.
2 hours trying to kill that.
Yeah, dude, I know. Early on that...
Last boss was a...
No, the frog. He's early on in the frog.
Oh, the frog! You got...
The frog is a pain in the ass, Jeff. I was there. I know.
I'm not moving on until I get my stuff back and get out of that room.
But yeah, I just enjoyed that story, and as we progressed, even through the stream with the lightsabers, or how that goes, I was just like, oh my god.
Can I hijack this for a second?
Go for it.
Like you haven't.
No, well, so that game, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, didn't need Darth Vader. He did not make that game better. That game was great.
It's still simmering before we officially started the podcast.
I enjoyed it just because it's like, oh fuck, but yeah, I didn't need it.
it had like the second I heard the, I was like, oh Jesus Christ! Of course it's Darth Vader. It like I will say, running away from him for the first chunk was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give him that. That is the most I will give that.
Fair.
But the physical damage I took from the eye roll when I first heard that stupid idiot walk through the door, I was like, oh cool, we're gonna undermine our main villain so we can put Darth Vader back in there. Okay, I'm done.
And then last two games, like the shout out, is just games I'm surprised I put, I'm sure 200 plus hours in. I know one for sure is 200 hours. And I bought one of them. I bought 3 times because I liked it so much. I'd like to give a shout out to Apex Legends because I didn't expect to love that game so much, and I constantly keep playing that. Haven't played with squad mates because nobody wants to fucking play. But randos, that's fine. And then Overwatch. Overwatch I bought on Xbox originally, PlayStation 4 for a fuck ton of hours, and then I tried it on PC, and oh boy, was that a change. Got a good couple games, and it went downhill fast, but yeah.
I went from watching Brent stream Overwatch to watching you stream it occasionally,
Mm-hmm.
and I like there was some carryover there where I couldn't watch Enigma stream it without thinking about the time that Brent, while streaming Overwatch, told the story of how he threw his back out, and it really made a disconnect there.
Yeah, let's not dig that grave right now.
Somebody find the video.
I'll take my answers off stream.
So yeah, a lot of good games for me. That's all I got. Jeff, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I'll just go through my list real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Just the ones that I really enjoyed. Plague Tale Innocence. I had a lot of fun with that game. It was.
I want to get to that. I do want to play that game. That looked really good.
I had a lot of fun. I'm actually probably gonna stream it again, just because I don't think I gave it like as much attention as I missed stuff. I want to do it again. Okay. Alien Isolation. You guys know how I feel about Alien Isolation. Yep. Let's see. Control.
Oh yeah, I didn't even put that on my list, but
Control.
What a great game.
I was gonna say Control was like my game of the year, and then I was like, wait, no, it came out last year.
Oh, okay. I was like, it's not.
Needless to say, I'll be buying that again on PS5 when they redo it, so I can A, play the DLC, and B, see it look just stupid good with ray tracing.
I have it on PS4 and Xbox. Yeah. I got the Steelbook both times. A game that I am the only person here who has played, but I had so much fun with, mostly because of like how bad it was and like talking about how bad it was with people. The Council.
Oh, come on! I beat that game for you. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't even know what that is.
A lot of fun. It's a twisted story.
Yeah, we can't get into that.
We can. It's a whole web to unweave, but we could.
Yeah. Doom 2016. I would say Doom Eternal, but I haven't beat it yet, so.
I actually like 2016 better. That's just me.
No, I'm right there with you.
Where did it go? The two Hitman games, like Hitman was always fun, but they like completely reinvented it.
I wish I would have played Hitman 1 when they were doing the weekly like stuff.
Yeah. Really weak. The games that came out episodically. Last generation was a huge growth for like episodic games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hotline Miami.
Oh yeah.
Was that? No, that came out on
I mean,
PS3.
I'm pretty sure I know that was on the Vita, but that is a hell of a game, Hotline Miami 1 and 2. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
That's a soundtrack that bops.
Let's see. Like I said, there's the obvious ones. There's the Resident Evils, Resident Evil 7.
7 is great.
Remakes.
7 is especially great in VR, as it turns out.
Scary shit.
Still haven't played 7 at all. Spider-Man, all those kind of things.
Yep.
Until Dawn.
Yes.
A great one that unfortunately Supermassive hasn't quite yet managed to live up to.
Yeah, I've liked their other two games. I haven't loved it like I did Until Dawn.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm just kind of trying to skim through my list here.
Sure.
Let's see. One that I look forward to playing. I haven't played much of it yet, but I have played some of the other ones in the series. Yakuza 0.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
I think it was a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
It's really difficult to play, especially if you're playing with Japanese. Like if you have the language set to Japanese with English subtitles, then you really got to pay attention.
Right.
Yeah. I won't even. To me, there's no other voice actor for Kiryu, other than the Japanese one. It's just so iconic and perfect.
I was about to say Alan Wake, but then I realized no, that's
DLC.
Yep.
I didn't play it until last year for the first time. Yeah, but then again, Control DLC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Tomb Raider games were
like
the reboot trilogy.
Yeah, I've only played the first one, but I've been meaning to go back and play the other ones.
Yeah, the first one was on PS3 originally. But
oh, was it?
The definitive version, specifically.
Oh,
the definitive
my bad.
version was yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha.
But the other two were on last gen, which were great games. I very much enjoyed those.
The Wolfenstein games.
Yeah.
Those are amazing.
Wolfenstein 2, man, that goes places.
Yeah.
Like, quite literally sometimes.
And,
quite literally sometimes.
I'm gonna say there's other ones, but I'm just losing my list is so long here.
Yeah.
A Way Out.
That was fun.
Doesn't have a ton of replay, but like for a singular experience with a friend.
Yeah, I will cherish the memory of when I played it with my buddy and killed him.
And
Nothing happens in this game. You play basketball against a kid. That's all I know. Jeff, you think I'm going to remember this? No.
This is the third time it's happened, though?
I didn't remember the other two. So we're in a good...
Eventually your brain's going to catch on.
Nah, you're expecting too much.
No context.
And then special shout out to the one of the biggest disappointments from last. Still fun, but a huge, not what it could have been. Metal Gear Solid 5.
Wow.
I would like to see the end of that game properly.
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 5 is like a tour de force in gameplay, but its story was missing.
Yeah.
The end of it is missing.
Yeah. I think that. Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild is a.
Yeah. I realize it's also on Switch and that's still current, but.
It came out for Wii U.
It was the last. I think it was the last game that came out on the Wii U.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
So yeah, a lot of the things you guys have listed off were on my list, so I'm not going to retread a bunch of ground. You know, all of your God of Wars and stuff like that. Those were all great. I guess the only ones there's 4 games I'm going to talk about, and that's it. So Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, absolute fantastic game, like scary in parts and uplifting in parts, and so well acted, and like the story of how it was made and why it was made and some of the mental health issues it touches on, just absolutely incredible, and something that everybody deserves to play at some point or another. Like that game that game hits so hard, and the setting is so great for it too. So Hellblade is definitely up there for me. Witcher 3, I know that's been said before, but I wanted to touch on that again. It's just a gem. Like the story that they told, the world that they built, and the stories that they told that weren't even necessarily part of the main thrust of the game. Like everything surrounding the Bloody Baron early on is just so expertly done. Like that could have been a game in and of itself. Like they could have made a game that just circled around the events of the Bloody Baron, and they would have had a smash hit. But instead they expanded it to just be a part of everything else. Just absolutely fantastic. Nier Automata is I could say so many good things about Nier Automata. It's another game that like is interesting because it breaks your expectations by using the gameplay to fit in the world of the story. Like right down to the point where if you remove your character as an android, you have an OS chip that runs your character, and it says like you can unequip, like you can disequip things like, oh, I don't need to see the enemy's health bar, so I unequip that module, and it expands your character to equip other things to deal more damage or something like that. But now you can't see how much health you have, and it goes right up to the point where like your operating system chip, you can take it out, and if you do, you die. Game over. Like, and it tells you, it's like, hey, if you take this out, you're gonna die.
Are you sure?
because your android needs this to exist.
Huh.
And it gives you a warning, like, are you sure you want to do this? It's gonna be bad. And if you pop it out, game over. You died. And even like, there's a whole thing surrounding the saving system, which I won't get into too much because it's a little spoilery, but like throughout most of the game just auto saves because thematically, if you die, they just make another robot.
Okay.
Like, so it's like whatever, your character died, here's another one. But like at a certain point, that ability to make more robots is gone. So you need to manually save your game from then on out because you can't just rely on backups. They're gone. And they don't go out of their way to be like, hey, game player, right now you got to make sure you this is a thing now. But it allows you within the context of the game to be like, that makes sense, like from a story perspective, and it affects gameplay in that way. And just everything they did with that was fantastic. The story or the music is without a doubt one of the best soundtracks in all of video games. So Nier Automata, can't recommend it enough.
A little bit of it, and I've seen some stuff, but I specifically got a copy of Nier so that I could go into Automata. 'Cause I know there's connections and everything, so.
So you're playing Gestalt right now?
Well, no,
Well, it's just called Nier, but it's the Gestalt version from.
Yeah, I played it on the 360, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
Early on in the pandemic. I've still got to get to like the third ending, the one that actually leads into Automata, because I have Automata. Well, it's on Game Pass, so I have it. Still trying to buy a physical copy, but I've been waiting because I've played it and I've watched it, and unfortunately somebody spoiled the story for me. But I want to see. Like, I haven't seen most of the parts that connect, and I want to see like.
I think that game, like, if somebody just in 3 sentences tells you the end of the game, I don't think it's really gonna do that much. It's very much the journey. You know, it impacts your perception of the ending. So I don't.
The original Nier was too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're losing much by hearing.
No.
Just a one sentence like this person and this person do things. It's like, okay, whatever. Like, kind of telegraphed early on. And I guess the only other game I have, and like this is probably a close second for my game of the generation, Persona 5 Royal. Like that is a Brent ass game from start to finish. Like Japanese high schooler anime, like life simulator / dungeon crawling JRPG with the like literally the most stylish piece of media I've ever played. Like I'm like that more stylish than any game, than any music, than any movie, than any TV show. Like out of every single pore of that game, it's just oozing style at every moment. Like right down to like if you've ever played a JRPG and you finish a fight, your character does this. And then stands there until you get all your experience points. No, not this game. This game is like your main character is like, all right, and then they start running and like getting right back into it, and like all your points and everything. And even when you're flipping through menus, like it's like shooting up with different like images of your characters, and everything is really like free flowing, and like it's got this very jazz kind of like music in the background, which the music is incredible. Just an absolute.
Looking at the art of that game, like I hear Cowboy Bebop music in the background of my head.
Oh, for sure. There's definitely, because Cowboy Bebop has that same like jazzy feel to it, right? Like that's like every Persona has a theme that you can almost boil down to like a musical sense, like
for the game itself.
Yeah, like Persona 3 is very emo. Like it is emo. But it's great. It's a great game. I love it. Persona 4 is much more like pop music, uplifting, and we're having a good time investigating these murders, and we're gonna win. And we're gonna beat the bad guys. And then Persona 5 is like, bad guys, we are the bad guys. And then the jazz kicks in, and you're like, all right, yeah, we are the bad guys. You're not really the bad guys, but like you're doing a thing that could be perceived as bad.
Right.
Yeah, Persona 5 is great. And Royal just takes the first game and then adds extra layers to it that I didn't even know it needed. And then after playing it, I was like, "Yep, glad I did." That's my without getting into game of the year stuff for this year. Those are my Those are my
one other I would add to that list without getting into game, and then
hit me with it.
And it's kind of on the last one where like we missed out, and you could argue that it's not technically a game. PT.
Oh yeah, PT. Yeah. My God.
We were promised PT. We got Death Stranding.
We might still get PT. I mean, not PT.
Yeah.
Something like it. Yeah. He had that whole announcement thing. What was it, like earlier this week or last week or whatever? And we got nothing.
I was so disappointed. It's like,
here's my awards.
Yeah, stay tuned for tomorrow. It's gonna be a big one.
Yep.
Now you can download your desktop theme for Death Stranding. What?
Oh boy.
Yeah, sick. Can't wait.
Mm-hmm. All right, nice. Well, a lot of different games we talked about. A lot of love. Obviously, I mean, there were so many games released. both consoles, all consoles, whatever, this generation, but a lot of things we liked, so awesome to hear about all those things, whether we shared it or it was a different game. We're moving on to topic 2 now. We're going to talk about 2020 game releases, and we're going to talk about our personal game of the year winner, candidate, whatever you want to talk about. Game Awards this year, it was Last of Us 2 that won it. Not to a lot of surprise for a lot of people, to be honest.
Yeah, of everything that was done at the Game Awards, that's literally the least surprising.
Yeah. So looking at my
SJW Snowflake game would win game of the year.
So looking at
I loved seeing those. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. So yeah, looking at my game list now, I didn't play that many games this year, like specifically 2020 releases. I'm looking at it, and let's see, how many do I got?
He took out the pen.
I got 15 games here that I played for this release. And I don't know if I can accurately give a game of the year, because there's some on here like I played, but I didn't play all the way through. So I'm just
gonna
going to
boo you if you don't choose one.
I'm going to choose one. I'm just saying,
okay.
like,
All right.
I'm just saying to you guys and the audience, if I don't pick this game, it's probably because I didn't finish it. So, like, strong candidates, Brent's going to hate me already because we talked about this months ago, but Final Fantasy VII Remake, your boy still hasn't finished. And I feel bad because I really want to do that podcast with him talking about the ending.
Every game we suggested, you just have not either finished or gotten to even.
I'm starting to think that he hates us.
I invited you out!
He just writes down lists of stuff where, like, you gotta do this, and then he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's got a list of, like, I'm never gonna finish this one.
You know what? I was thinking about doing that one because they suggested it. Nah.
Maybe 2028, you losers.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, I think 7 would be definitely a top candidate for me. The
Solid.
amount I've played, I got up to, I think it was chapter 8 or 9, just before you're dressing up as Cloud. So I know it's that part. Yeah. And I did reset again because I was thinking about, like I said, Brent and I doing the podcast about the ending. I was like, I need to fucking play this game and go all the way through. So I restarted again. I need to stay on top of it. That will happen.
I'm, the New Game Plus and getting, I still don't have Bahamut.
I never fired up a New Game Plus on that.
It's hard, man.
Shocker.
Like, the combat's fine, but the fact that, like, you can't use items in battle, that makes it the beginning really hard.
Oh, yeah, that sounds painful.
Yeah.
Can't you?
There's no item use in battle, at least unless mine is incredibly bugged. I was not able to use items in battle on New Game Plus.
Maybe I think New Game Plus takes out items.
Yeah. You can use them between fights, but yeah, not during.
Yeah.
Weird.
That's accurate.
Let's see. Another shout out to candidate RE3 remake. I did beat that one. That was a lot of fun. Avengers I'm playing through right now. I am enjoying that one a lot. I know a lot of people had issues with it, but I'm having a blast with it. I don't think I'm going to do any of the multiplayer aspects of it. I'm having fun just kind of running around solo and zoning out, listening to something while doing those missions. But the main story I've really enjoyed. Doom Eternal was fun. As Brent mentioned last topic, I don't think it was as strong as 2016. Like, the combat was good. I don't know. I don't know if it was the weapons and how... I don't know if it was the progress of them. More video gamey.
Like, you have lives, and there's very clear power-ups and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
I think my problem lied in that in any given moment there was too many things.
Okay.
Like, you got a freeze bomb and a flamethrower, and you do the chainsaw to get the ammo so you can use the guns to do. It's like, maybe I'm just too small brain for that game. You have to glory kill for health, and you have to flamethrower for this, and you have to freeze bomb for that, and like, you're just constantly running through this script in your head, and you're like, I forget to use most of my abilities.
Yeah.
And I did like, at the very least with the original Doom, that you're progressing through what felt like one place.
Oh yeah.
Whereas, like, for some reason, like, floating space castle Doom guy just didn't do it for me the same way.
Really levels,
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
it's like I said, they made it more video gamey, you know.
it did, yeah. Like, that's another one where watching somebody who is more competent at that game is exciting and fun, because you're like, oh my god, this is a symphony of destruction. Versus, you know, like the bad Jurassic Park theme on the recorder. Like, that's me playing. That's me playing Doom Eternal. So
yeah, gameplay wise, it was great. Another thing I thought that kind of lacked was the how it looked. I don't know. It felt like very washed out clean to me compared to what 2016 looked like. It looked more rugged and grungy almost. I kind of like that. I get it's hell versus, you know, in the real world, I suppose, and whatever heavenly Doom world. Yeah, I don't know. I personally, I like the look of 2016 more than Eternal, so that was something that the whole time I was just like, yeah. But it was a lot of fun. Let's see. Animal Crossing was a lot of fun. Did not expect to have as much fun as I did with that, and I mean, that game hit a perfect time in the world, clearly, with the pandemic. So, but Kate and I played that a shit ton, 100+ hours into that. Another podcast episode, you can go when we talk all about that, and we reveal how long we played it. Haven't played it since, but it was fun. And then the one that came out of nowhere, Fall Guys, that was a blast.
Fall Guys is fun.
Yeah, we played that so much that first like month or so it came out, and then we got super frustrated because I was dumb and wanted to do that 5 wins in a row trophy. Got to 4. Got to 4 and instantly flubbed the 5th one. But yeah, after taking a break and going back into that game from time to time, that's been a blast to play. So I mean, I don't know. I guess I'll just pick mine now. It's weird. I think I have to give it to Animal Crossing as my game of the year, but I don't know if I feel like super strong about that. Like, I still want to put FF7 over it just from what I've experienced, but also I don't feel like I can give it that because I haven't finished it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So,
well, it's not finished.
Yeah. So I think I gotta give it to Animal Crossing for mine personally. Just like I said, how many people were talking about it, how it affected us playing it. Like, it was just an escape, and you know, whether you played it legit day to day or, you know, you gave in and time traveled, like, it was just fun hunting down all the villagers and making your island and figuring everything out. Like, oh, you can do this, oh, you can do that, you can collect the bugs, you can collect the fish, this, just little check marks and things you could chase after. So yeah, good times with that. Jeff, you look like you're pondering, so let us know what you're thinking.
I'm also my purchase history at work real quick.
Oh, okay.
My obvious, like, best. We talked about too many video games now. It's just this year, right?
Just this year, 2020. What is your game of the year?
Games that released in the year of our Lord.
Like I said, it's like, you know, like, Control
2020
feels like
CE.
it came out this year, but it's not, because this year's...
Well, 2020's been going for 32 years now, so
yeah.
I can understand where you feel it's been long.
Yeah, I count this year as everything that came out after, like, between now and after the Game Awards last year. So, the, you know, obvious choice, said Red Dead 2. I was like, nope.
That was last year.
Final Fantasy 7. I'm not choosing it because it's not done. It's not the game, you know.
Oh,
it's the,
okay, that was your criteria. Interesting.
It's I loved it. I had a lot of fun. But like I am in the unique position between the two of you where I did play the original, but only up to a certain point.
Okay. What?
So,
like PS1, like you played it all the way through. I didn't play it at all. He's the in between of playing it partially.
I played it up until you get out of Midgar, and then maybe an hour or two after that, and then I burnt out or something. I don't remember what happened.
Okay.
So it's I haven't gotten like I'm missing a lot of the big moments from that game because they haven't released it yet.
But you didn't
So
play.
He just doesn't know what the big moments are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I'll tell you every one of them right now.
Well, you think you do, but who knows what's going to happen?
Well, if we're talking originally,
we're
yeah,
not-
he knows.
We're not even gonna go down that path.
La 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 la.
I would say the game I probably had, if I base it on the thing I had the most fun with, probably Nemesis, Resident Evil 3 remake.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really wanted to enjoy Doom Eternal. I did. Like I said, my only complaints about the game were that they made they made it more video gamey. There's clear stages. There's like every time you get a new weapon, it takes you out of the game and into this weird little like VR space to give you
The hub area.
tutorial.
Not
even that.
Oh,
just
that
like a
area.
single
Sorry.
big room, yeah. And like when it came out, like it was so tense and stressful. Like I couldn't deal with that and everything that was going on in the real world. Like it's just there's too much tension that I couldn't do it, so I had to put it down after I finished it. I haven't bought a ton of games this year that I would consider game of the year material. Like although I have been having a lot of fun with Haven on the Series X.
Mm-hmm.
That has proved to be.
That game does look really good. I think that's on Game Pass for PC, and I'll probably play it.
I highly
On there.
recommend it. I really highly recommend it. Yeah. No, like Final Fantasy VII, obviously obvious choice. Last of Us 2, obvious choice. There's some missteps in that game, like narratively, I think. The ones that everybody else complained about are not ones I have a problem with.
So I guess out of curiosity, what were the things you took issue with more?
It's not so much
when
that
it came-
it's
Like the story that you felt like.
issues and stuff like that. They could have done a little bit better. Because when there's a character in it who's queer. I didn't even realize what was going on at first though.
Mhm.
And to be fair, that's on me. But like I know there was a huge thing about like I learned what dead naming is because of that game. So props on it for
So
that.
I was about to say, so you walked out of that game a better person.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. It just doesn't. It's hard to put into like a specific where exactly like I wouldn't give it. Of the games I played, I wouldn't give it all game of the year. I mean, I absolutely had a blast. I think it's the longest series I have on my YouTube channel. But there are moments where it doesn't give you a choice in the things you have to do, and I didn't want to do some of those things. I didn't like having choices taken away from me. Like, and some of it was me being stupid. Like, I probably could have saved a couple dogs if I had been a little sneakier. But instead, I had to shotgun a couple dogs. Wasn't a fan of that. Wasn't a fan of like there are certain things where like you just don't have an option for mercy. And I get that like that's what they were going for. They were trying to show like this is what revenge does to people, But still, it's hard to stomach sometimes. So.
Did Enigma take his headphones out because he doesn't want to hear spoilers?
I
You
don't
played
think
The Last
it's
of Us?
anything.
No.
Why'd you take your headphones out?
Yeah, I didn't play it yet. So.
Oh,
I don't think
okay.
it's spoiled
Okay.
anything, right?
Oh, I don't know.
No, you didn't, but
Okay.
I was confused.
I was
why
just
you
playing it
took
safe.
your
Sorry, I was just playing it
Like,
safe.
playing it safe, yeah.
Yeah, I was playing it safe. I wasn't super excited for it, to be honest. I don't know if it was just the hype of Last of Us 1. Like, everybody was like, oh, 10 out of 10 masterpiece. This is the best thing ever. Blah, 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 blah. So when I finally got to playing it, and I finished it, I was like, okay, yeah, that was good. So I don't know if it was just like everybody saying it was, this big thing, pushing up the hype, and then I just came out, whoosh, ground level. So when it came out, like, I was excited for people. I was happy for people that came out. But no, I have not played it. I got it on a sale, so I do have it in my backlog to try out. But yeah, no, I have not played it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing that probably kept it from being my game of the year is that there were moments, and there are actually episodes where you can watch me play and be like, I let go, and I walk away, you're not going to pull a gun out of somewhere where you shouldn't legitimately have a gun and shoot me, are you? And it just happens, and I have to. It's not even named characters; it's just enemies, and I just want to leave them because like they're clearly no threat to me anymore. But yeah, it can be brutal, so it's hard to work sometimes.
Like, I think that's one place that I differ from a lot of people who like games. A lot of people like games where it is your story and you're telling everything and you have a lot of choice. And I feel like when you give the player too much choice, the story gets watered down because you have to take too many things into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
That's why for me, I'm very much like, I want to hear the story that's being told. I don't care what my character ends up doing. Like I don't watch a movie and be like, man, I did that different.
Right.
Like, I mean, you know, with goofy horror films or whatever, like, yeah, I want to run into that basement, but like, I'm more of a fan, gameplay wise, experiencing the story that the person wanted to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, I don't feel like I like to be along for the ride as opposed to driving it. Because I feel like you can tell a much tighter story that way.
Yep. No, I totally agree. And that's why I said like that's the story they were trying to tell. They were trying to show what that does. It didn't make it a worse game. It just made it harder for me in certain spots.
Because
again, that's part of the experience.
Yeah,
you know?
I will agree with what you're saying. There was a lot of times where I was like, don't know. I was saying this to my TV, like it was gonna be like, all right, I guess. Yeah. But there was a lot of times where I'm like, no, I can't do this. But the game makes you do it, and you're like, all right, well, I hope this doesn't make me cry because I was the one that did it to myself at this point. It's like, but like that, I thought that enriched the game to me anyway.
Yeah, no, and it does. It just it puts you in a position where like you really have to reconcile these things.
Yeah.
But as far as the actual story and the story decisions, like I wouldn't have them change that. I love that story. That's a great story. It's like that's the story they wanted to tell, and I'll always argue for that. Like you'll never see me taking the side of the people that's like, I occasionally get videos on my YouTube feed for like the channel like how it should have ended, and I'm always just like
4-hour think pieces about how they would have made this better. It's like eat shit. You
every time I see a video for that channel pop up, I'm just like, fuck.
I've got a 360p webcam and I'm ready to sell it like it is. Okay, get out of here.
Did you make Last of Us Part 1? No? Well then I don't think you get to
yeah. Yep. Nope, that's I guess that's my only thing there.
Yeah,
but
I 100% agree with that's the story that they wanted to tell, and they did it, and like I would not argue with it for a minute, but it's like so many people complained about it too.
Which it was bound to happen. It's a game that everyone was excited for, and they made decisions about the way that story was going to be told that there was no way somebody wasn't going to walk away very angry about it.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of the game, I'm trying to think of other reasons why, just aside from me enjoying it so much, that Resident Evil 3 Remake was my game of the year. But there are so many games that just like got pushed back or didn't live up to what they were supposed to be.
Sure. I wonder.
I'm gonna say things about that in a little bit.
Yeah. I don't even know where to go on that. I'm hopeful, but and also like I got a new console. I didn't have money for a bunch of games too, and a lot of the games I got were smaller things like the new Story of Seasons or things like Carrion finally came out this year.
Carrion was awesome.
Yeah. But they're not Game of the Year material.
No.
I mean, if it is to you, I mean, this doesn't have to be.
I was about to say it. Like, I would have told you that Journey was my game of the year one year, which was not a big budget super game.
By the way, none of us included that on our last gen.
Well, it was a PS3 game originally.
Oh yeah.
That like Journey is one of my top 5 all-time favorite games. Like that game did shit to me.
And like the games that I really wanted. Wait. What year did see? And again, I don't like. My sense of time is so shattered. Did Kingdom Hearts come out this year or last year?
Last year.
Like January of last year.
Yeah.
That game's almost 2 years old, bud.
You know what, man? Like this.
This year's the year. No, this year's the this year's the year. I won't blame you for it.
Yeah, I'm just desperately looking around the room for like game that came out this year, and it's like, nah.
Yeah.
And there's so many games like still just because of Game Pass like that came out this year I haven't just gotten to yet. So.
Right.
Yep.
All right. So RE3 for you?
Hmm?
RE3
yeah,
for you?
so, yeah. And I would argue that if Control hadn't come out at the end of 2019, RE2 would have been my game of the year that year too. Like those games are just...
okay. I thought you were taking.
If they pushed it.
Like, well, if Control came out this year, it would have been my favorite game. Like, I guess.
Duh.
My favorite
All right.
DLC that came out this year.
Well, I'm gonna tear through some honorable mentions, and then I'm gonna walk you through my thought process between my game of the year between two of them. So,
Okay.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Phasmophobia.
Oh, okay.
That game elicits actual fear. Like I watched other people play it and I was like, this is dumb. This is big dumb. I don't care about this at all. But like when you're playing it, and if you really like take it seriously and you turn down the lights and you got the headphones on and like you're communicating back and forth with your friends, like when shit starts popping off in that game, like it gets to you. It really does.
Okay.
Like using the near field communication is really smart. Just the way that the ghost reacts to the things that you do, and like every ghost feels unique. That game is just it's terrifying and it's a blast. So Phasmophobia I'll definitely throw up there. Demon Souls, it's a remake of Demon Souls. It's a very good remake of Demon Souls.
Looks pretty.
It looks super good on a PS5. It's that one. So I just want to give that a shout out. Valorant came out this year. I really like Counter-Strike. I'm not good at it, so I don't play it. But this has that same kind of Counter-Strike gameplay feel.
Huh.
But it's got just enough Overwatch that it feels unique.
Okay.
But not so much Overwatch that it feels very ability heavy. Like at the end of the day, it's still, good sight lines, making sure that you've got crosshairs where you need them to be, so the second someone pops out, you can hit that shot. Very twitchy shooting. But yeah, Valorant was a really great game. I played a bunch this year. Neo 2.
Oh wow, that was this year.
Yeah, that was this year. I played a boatload of Neo 2. That's I didn't finish it unfortunately, which I don't remember why, but it's really great. It's again that Japanese setting, from software style thing, but with more kind of Diablo items. So a little bit more of a loot sort of thing, which is neat. But that was a really great game. Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay, good. I was gonna say
yeah.
You better say this because like if I had played that probably would have made my game of the year.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is really really great. I think I made the cardinal sin of like I'm gonna go to everything on the map to the point where I was like the story lost me because I was like too busy running here and there and like infiltrating this camp and that camp to get this thing and that thing, and I'm like like it looked gorgeous, and like this is still on a PlayStation 4, but it loaded almost as fast as a PlayStation 5, which is stupid. Like I don't even know how there's a literal wizard that comes in the box of that game that when you put the disc in, like the soul of this wizard goes in there and casts magic spells to make that game work better. I don't get it, but it's just how it is. But yeah, I mean, setting wise, it's feudal Japan. It's like a true to life Japanese story. They've got Japanese voice actors. The voice actor is the guy who plays Pirate Hunter Zoro from One Piece. So like, my heart was in it right from the beginning. There was nothing else it could have been for me. So Ghost of Tsushima was really great. I'm also gonna give a shout out to Final Fantasy VII Remake because, like, I love Final Fantasy VII. It's a great game. I'm terrified that the next few entries in this are gonna be awful.
Mm.
And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Once Enigma finishes and then the next entry comes out and then we all catch up, we can all approach it from different points. And you know, if it is awful, and then we have different views, we'll figure out why. You know.
I know who's in charge of that game, and I know what other game he's in charge of, and you start to see some of those cracks near the end that I'm like, oh, motherfucker, you can do this, aren't you? And then he does. Oh my god. This is like the perfect evolution of beards.
It is, Polar. It is.
Mine's very small right now.
I was gonna say, yeah, I probably have the most currently.
So Final Fantasy VII, I have a lot of reverence for that original game, so I'm gonna play the next one. I'm excited for the next one, but I don't actually think it's gonna be good.
I'm concerned they're gonna charge us full price again.
Of course they are. Why wouldn't they?
Game. I'm gonna end up paying like $200 for Final Fantasy VII, and it's not even gonna come with a. Well, no, actually, if I got all the statue ones, it ended up being like $1,000.
Well, you hope it's only $1,000.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
so
didn't you?
Here's what's that?
Did you get a copy with like one of the special editions that came with the statue, or?
No, I didn't.
I might be thinking of Greg over. Yeah.
Well, I'm very sad that I didn't. I wish I did, but yeah. So here's where things are going to get complicated for me because there's 2 games left. One game I've put a stupid amount of hours into, and I literally play it every single day, and I've put almost 300 hours since it came out in August. And the other game is just a tour de force, so this is very hard for me. So I'm going to talk through both of these games, and then I'm going to make a decision, I guess. So let's start by talking about The Last of Us Part 2. I know we kind of really touched on a lot of it already. I thought it was brave. It told a story that I thought felt relevant in a lot of ways. It never did something because they were worried about fan reaction. It was true to what it wanted to be, and it made sense. I know a lot of people aren't going to like that because there are things that happen in the beginning of that game, and there are things that happen at the end of that game that doing my best to dance around things, so I'm not saying anything.
I mean, I can take the headphones out again if you need me to.
Getting a middle and an end.
Yeah, there's a middle that happens.
What? Oh God.
I think the biggest and smartest thing they did with that game is what they do with the second half of that game, because that is a gamble. That is a gamble that is either going to pay off tremendously, or it is going to flop as hard as it can.
Mm-hmm.
And they put all their chips on that second half working, because if that second half doesn't work, that game is a disaster, and I admit that thoroughly.
Oh,
but that's where you need to allow yourself to get out of the way. And I think some people are so far up their own ass on certain things because they have preconceived notions about how certain things are supposed to be, and it just isn't the way that it's not how life happens. Like everything is not always this nice, tight little ball. Like, you know, things unravel and things get weird. So I thought that everything they did was smart. It was well told. It made sense. And to me, the second half paid off because they did the thing they needed to do to make that work. And it was just a truly exceptional game from start to finish to me. So the other game on this list for me is Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact is a gacha game through and through. It is a Breath of the Wild clone gacha game. But here's where things get a little bit interesting for me is like it could very much just be like a gacha game, and their sole purpose is to just extract absurd amounts of money out of you. And it can. I see where it can. But I have maybe spent $10 on that game. And like I still have more content. There's still more for me to do. The game is still interesting. There's the progression of getting your character stronger and the clip with which they're releasing new content. They just constantly have impressed me with, like, if I would have spent $0 on this game is still exceptional.
Well,
It's
on PC, right?
I'm playing it on PS5 now.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because it is free on PC, but
It's free on PlayStation as well.
Is it?
Yeah, 100%. Like that was what got me into the game. It's like, it was at a point where I'm like, I don't have a ton of money right now, so $0, try this thing out. Why not? Let's give it a shot. And like the story is actually good, and like the combat's fun, and they've got this really great system of mixing elements. So like, if you're in a grassy area and you use fire, all of the grass starts on fire. And then if you take a wind element and throw it through the fire, the wind absorbs the fire, and now you've got like a fire tornado. Like, all of the elements play with each other in really smart and interesting ways. And it
seems like it should have been a cheap knockoff that was just trying to cash in on another game, and it should have gone down like that. But it was made by people who actually give a shit.
Yeah, like that's really the tiny claws are there of gacha games where it's like I can see where somebody could very quickly be like, I gotta have everything, all of the characters right now, and then they just start throwing money at their screen, and then they have them, but they also spend $7,000. Like, I can see that. I can see that happening.
So it's like essentially, I don't know, pay to win is not the right way, but like you could unlock these characters just by playing, correct?
Yeah. So like with my $10 I've spent, like I could have not spent the $10, and I would still be in the spot that I'm in, and like I have the best character in the game. Like it was by chance for sure. It is you're playing the lottery a little bit, but like there are several characters that you can get by playing for free, and like you get to do some of the paid like gambling things in there just by doing in-game events.
Interesting.
So like so like there's you can play through that whole game and spend $0 and still get a ton of enjoyment out of it. There's a lot of game there.
Okay, I didn't know much about the game other than it was Breath of the Wild thing, so I'm surprised to hear about the different characters.
To me, the Breath of the Wild kind of starts and ends with there's a stamina bar, and you can climb any surface, and your stamina goes down when you climb or run.
The general look too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like definitely kind of that cell shaded anime sort of look to it. Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Gotcha.
Color palette.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me. But yeah, no, like the game continues to be great. They continue to dish out a ton of new content. Like, I'm actively excited for Wednesday because they're dropping patch. What's up?
There's a new character coming out real soon, right?
Yeah, so patch 1.2 comes out on Wednesday, and it's a new character. It's a whole new area to explore. A bunch of new quests, new dungeons, new items you can get, and it's all free.
Cool.
The only monetization in that game is if you want to do the wishes, which is kind of like the lottery gambling mechanic. which exists. But again, like, you will get some of that stuff for free.
Yeah.
It's just if you want to be a whale or if you want to be crazy, you can spend $1 zillion on it. So.
Okay. Gotcha.
So can't say enough good about Genshin Impact. Like I before I go to bed, I'm gonna log back in because I'm gonna have a little bit more resin. Which is like a thing that just gradually recharges. It's kind of like in most phone games where it's like you can do so
after a
many
certain
things
time.
in it. Yeah, like you have so many things in a day. So like that's another way that you can spend money if you want to get more resin. But I actually kind of like the fact that I can sit down and play the game and like in an hour and a half be like, I'm done.
Right.
I've used all my stuff. I've gotten all the things I can get. I'm gonna go do anything else right now because I'm not one to be like I'm gonna spend $1 million now. So yeah, Genshin Impact. And I'm gonna do this real quick too. I'm gonna give a shout out to Cyberpunk. I'm playing it on a PS5, so I'm lucky that I can play a version of that game that doesn't look like dog shit. There is a good game buried beneath all of that nonsense. Like the story and the setting and stuff have all been very good. But I understand the complaints. I understand the gripes, and I do not begrudge anybody for being mad at that game or hating it because there are plenty of opportunities to hate it. But I've again. Because I was lucky enough to get a PlayStation 5, that game is good. It just is undercooked. That is one I would send back to the waiter. So I guess in terms of my game of the year for the 2020, it's probably got to be The Last of Us because like that one will leave a bigger impact on me in terms of like there were moments where The Last of Us made me feel things that I don't typically feel in video games, and in terms of fear, in terms of like just a general anxiety about the things you're doing, and making me think things about people and places and things that if you would have told me at the beginning of the game I was going to feel that way, I would have been like, absolutely not. But like they do it in a way that makes sense and in a way that pays off if you just allow them to tell their story and don't think that you know better than everybody that wrote it. I guess that's really the best I've got on that one.
Cool.
So yeah, I'll say The Last of Us, but there's a very large special place in my heart for Genshin Impact, and it deserved more recognition than it got.
Nice. All right. I like it. A range of different games, game of the year wise. And a whole bunch that we need to play more or just we're expecting more of. I don't know. Yeah.
We still have a lot of Final Fantasy stuff to talk about. Just need people to finish the game is all. That's what I do. I go on people's podcasts and chastise them for.
That's all right. It's deserved. It's deserved. Aye. All right, moving on to topic 3. We're talking next gen now. All right. Next gen.
Future is now.
Enigma can leave now.
Yeah, bye.
We'll take this one over.
Yeah.
So yes.
What do you have to contribute, sir?
Give me just 1 second. I have to go upstairs and get my top hat and monocle. So real rich.
I was and a pipe earlier.
Got my corn cob pipe lit upstairs. Gotta pour myself just a small handle of bourbon, so I can scotch really, so I can just slope at it.
There you go.
Yeah, brandy's a good one. Yeah.
So as these assholes are alluding to, I don't have a next gen. No. I do not have a next gen console. I was waiting on it. I think I'm leaning towards PS5 just based on games, but at the moment there doesn't seem anything that's strictly enticing me towards either of the next gen launches, the only game that was really sparking my interest, which I still have yet to play, has been Spider-Man Miles Morales, but that's on PS4 as well. Hearing good things about Astrobot, that has me intrigued, but obviously I'm not going to die if I don't play it. So yeah, leading up to the console launch, I was happy for everybody. It was when I was not chomping at the bit to find one or get one, etc. And especially with all these assholes in the world, scalping them, etc. Wasn't really a concern for me because it's like I got all this backlog, I'll be fine. But Jeff has gotten the Series X, Brent has gotten the PS5, so I just kind of wanted to pick their brain a little bit, see, like I said, what they like about it, maybe what they don't like about it, whether it's game-wise, whether it's UI-wise, whether it's the size of the thing, whatever it is, the controller, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of pick their brains, see what they are thinking about it so far. And obviously it's only going to get better with the game libraries and hopefully how everything runs. It's early. So we've been starting with Jeff all night. So I'm going to give him a break. Brent, we're going to go to you first with the PS5. So overall thoughts, what are your thoughts on your PS5?
So, broad strokes, PlayStation 5 is a good console. It's a great console. It plays your PS4 games. I have a disc-based one. I guess I should be specific about that because there is another option with that. So, the console is, we'll start, I guess, just in a physical manner. It is it's a big boy.
Yeah.
The console, I guess, from like the top of my head would probably come down to like my pec.
Shit.
Like it's tall. And like even because I like in my entertainment setup, it's something I have to lay flat.
Oh, okay.
And it takes up like almost half of one side of my entertainment, so like everything else is kind of squished to the side. In terms of like its next gen feel, like it definitely has a next gen feel to it, and one of the big reasons is the controller itself, the DualSense. And I'm sure you've probably heard this talked to death at this point. It's, such a hot thing, but the rumble that they added to it feels like what HD Rumble was supposed to be with the Nintendo Switch. Everybody was like, oh, HD Rumble, it's like you can move the Joy-Con and feel how many ice cubes are in the thing. They always used to do that. And it wasn't until I played Astrobot, which like I wanted to try out because it's a game that comes for free on your PlayStation on the PS5, but I was like, Demon Souls for sure. That's the first thing I'm gonna play, and it was. But I was like, I'm gonna try out Astrobot and I'm gonna play it. And that game, like when somebody comes over and tries out my PS5, the first thing I do is I put them in Astrobot, and there's like a controller tutorial, and like to feel the rumble, and like when you push down the triggers and it's got that like resistance to it that if you gotta give it that little extra, like there's all these little things that are tactile enhancements to the controller, which I've always been a fan of the PlayStation controller. I know that's a war for some people. Both controllers are fine. I like the PlayStation one because I've used it forever. It is definitely like bigger in my hand. I'll say for sure. There's definitely a sense that the controller has that like look to it. It's got a little more girth, I guess.
Oh.
Similar to like an Xbox controller. But yeah, no, like the console is great. The controller adds an actual level of something different. And then just moving on to the games and like the look of it a little bit, like it's definitely a you play certain games and you're like, man, you see that ray tracing. Like the ray tracing is the thing that they're like ray tracing, and it's not until you kind of see it in action that it really kind of pops at you. The thing that like really resonated with me, I guess, initially was, I'm playing Spider-Man, and I did the thing like everybody did, and I'm like, oh, let me check out the let me just check out this cool thing where I can uh, look at my reflection in the thing of New York, and like it's cool. It truly is. Like, there were tricks that they did in the old gen to make it feel like it's a reflection, but then you look at what the reflection is and it's something totally different. You're like, okay, what the hell is this? This is weird.
Right.
So it's cool to have that like one-to-one reflection. Like the spot that it really pops to me is when you're playing, like you're doing something at night, and there's like the way that the neon color reflects off of surfaces just adds like so much more vibrancy, and like everything feels more alive when you do that. And when you've got like a shiny car that's going through all that neon and it's reflecting off the car, like it just adds an extra level of realism to things that like you just don't get with the current gen. And like, not to say that that is a make or break thing. Like I don't think that the system would be lesser without it. But it's definitely like there's definitely a sense of how much better and smoother everything looks when you're playing on the PS5 over the PS4. We're never gonna have a console jump like we did, like from Super Nintendo to 64, or 64 to PlayStation. Like we're never gonna have that again, and that's totally fine, right? It's big when you're,
at least until we get full dive technology.
yeah. Just getting back to Cyberpunk real quick. No, it truly, it's one of those things that if you look at it by itself, you're like, is it that different? And then you look at like a comparison shot with something else, and you can see where these little touches and these little flourishes make that big difference, and that's where it really kind of stands out to me. I don't know, everything is like 60 frames per second, and that's something I didn't think I cared about as much until now that I have it. I feel like, I guess going back to Genshin Impact too, just for a moment, because that's a PS4 game still. They have not made a PS5 version of it.
Okay.
But that's a game that they allowed the PlayStation to use its extra resources, its extra power, to add more to the frames per second, to make things load faster. And the SSD, which I'm sure Jeff is going to have things to say about the impact of the SSD in his Xbox, but like, okay,
or not.
I'll just take it over.
It's been a long day. I'm gonna have to.
You're good.
Like the way that, like, Genshin Impact I played on the PS4 when it initially came out, and like there were things that this just must be kind of network stuff because it's a little bit slow and like it doesn't react as quick as I would like it to, and all that stuff. Well, then I got my PS5, I downloaded Genshin Impact and started playing it again, and it was like a brand new game. Like everything was much smoother, everything ran better. I was like everything was more responsive. Just like on the PS4 you had the shell of a really good game, and then with the extra horsepower on the PS5, and this is like, again, this isn't even a PS5 game. This is just using the resource to make an existing game better. And it really made a difference to the point where I like didn't even feel like I was playing the same game. And then I guess the last thing I want to touch on is that solid state drive. Like, I made the joke with Ghost of Tsushima that there's a little wizard that comes packaged in with every disc, and it's impossible to how they make that little wizard make the game load faster. Like, I don't understand it. But you take that same feeling and that same thought, and you apply that to literally every game you play. Like, that is just how it is. Like, when you go to play Spider-Man, you click the cross media bar is still similar to the way it is on the PS4, but you click the Spider-Man icon, and I mean, it doesn't even have a chance to, like, it goes dark, you get a picture of Spider-Man for like 1 second, it fades to black and fades up, and you're in the game.
Wow. Okay.
Like there's barely any time to even register what happened. It's just incredible the way that it really changes. Like I always used to do the thing where it's like you would hit the load screen, you bust out your phone, and you start like dicking around doing whatever you're doing on your phone. Like that time doesn't exist anymore. Like when you go from one thing to another thing, it is instant. It is happening, and you got to be there for it. Because like like Demon Souls, when you would go from area to area on, granted, the PS3 version would be like a minute. Like you could get up, go to the bathroom, get a drink, come back, and then still have a second to be prepared. Like when you're teleporting between areas, like fog fills the screen and then comes back, and you're in the area.
Wow.
Which is incredible. Like, and it impacts the way you play games. Because when I played Demon Souls or any Soul, I never wanted to teleport. So shit, I don't want to wait a minute and a half to get to the area that I'm going to. And now with Demon Souls, I'm like, I'm just gonna go there, and it's gonna be instant. It doesn't matter. So it's the extra hardware, the extra everything that they added, really feels new, especially like when you've got a TV that can handle it too. That's always an important piece of it. But yeah, I've raved about the PS5 now for a little while.
All right.
Obviously, everybody who is a fan of PlayStation should definitely get a PS5. It is, it is a worthy successor to the console.
So, follow-up question about the rumble feature. I think it's the haptic feedback. Obviously, in Astrobot, it's kind of like that tech demo, similar to Wii Sports or whatever.
Sure.
Does it really? Do you feel it in other games? Do you feel it makes an impact with how you play, or at least your immersion? I guess you could say.
Yeah. So in Spider-Man, there are moments when it's happening, a struggle or a resistance, and they generally reserve it for things like story beats. But like it'll force you to kind of hit that trigger, and like it's giving you the resistance in the trigger, so it feels like not only is your character struggling on screen, but you're struggling a little bit. And like when I say a struggle, it's not like you're like you're not like you're not like you don't need a vice to get it down or anything, but like it just gives you that little extra. And then the rumble just gives you that little extra that you feel like, oh man, like this is a tense moment, this is a struggle that my character's having. Or even they use it to really good effect in Call of Duty Cold War, where every gun in the game has its own unique throw pattern for the trigger. So like you can like lightly squeeze the trigger and it doesn't quite give until you hit it just the rest of the way, and then like the gun starts firing. So like it just, even in an immersion sense, like that's a thing that like even in a multiplayer or a single player aspect gives you, like every gun feels unique, like actually to your hand, because of the throw on the trigger. So like it's when it's used well, it is very effective. And like even going back to Astrobot, every surface you walk on has a unique feel to it. So like when you're skating on ice, there's a bit of a grindy feel. When you're walking on sand, there's kind of more of a crunchy feel. When you're walking through mud, it's just like everything has its own particular profile in terms of how it feels when you're playing through it.
Cool. And then last question before we move over to Jeff is you mentioned the PS4 library is playable through your PS5. I don't know what level of experience you have with that. Like you mentioned, games run faster. Is it an easy process to get your games from current gen to move over to there to play, or like is it a hassle? I don't know.
No, so there's a couple of different ways you can do it. If you have games saved on like an external hard drive, you just plug that hard drive into your PS5 and play your games. I don't have an external hard drive, so for me, like when I decided I wanted to play Cyberpunk, I guess, like 'cause that's still a PS4 game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I bought the game, I threw the disc in, it installed, and I played it. Like there's no it does get a little complicated for certain games because you have to choose which version of the game you're playing. Things can get a little bit dicey with that, but I haven't run across that yet, so it's hard for me to say for sure.
Gotcha.
But like, yeah, I mean, I guess that exists with Bug Snacks, which I played,
Mm-hmm.
which is great, which is very good. I should have talked more about Bug Snacks throughout the rest of this podcast. Um, uh, yeah, no, there's not like a huge, and like even recovering your save, like all your saves, assuming you have PlayStation Plus, are just up in the cloud. So like you go, hey, I want this save, and then you open up your clouds and you find the one you want, you bring it in, and it's just a save like any other. You don't have to convert it or
Okay, nice.
mess around at all. Like it effectively feels like a PS4,
Okay,
just with extra horsepower.
gotcha. Nice. All right, Jeff, moving on to your Xbox Series X. What are your overall thoughts and impressions on it?
So mine's gonna be a little different. I've never been big on looking at like all the tech aspects and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is why when Brent was like, he's gonna have stuff to say about the hard drive, I was like, I honestly have no clue off the top of my head what you're talking about. I think they both have the new like the NVMe or whatever they are, the SSDs.
I think so.
I think the
Yep.
It's like custom SSDs. The X's is a little bigger than the PS5s, I believe, but not by much, like a couple hundred gigabytes.
Yeah, like the PS5 I think is an 825 gigabyte console, which I think once all the shit's in there, it's like 650 or something like that. I don't know what the Xbox starts with, but
the Series X is a 1 terabyte, and like the operating system, everything is like 164 gigabytes, I believe.
okay.
So you end up around 800. Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like in both cases it uses about 150 gigs for the OS and storage and stuff.
I'll start with like same way Brent did, like it's big. Like the Series X, I almost had to buy another shelf.
Like 3 C's thick.
It won't fit anywhere on my. I had it on its side at first, and I was like, oh, that seems a little warm. Let me put it up because I hate having consoles upright. I've always hated it.
Yeah.
So I had it on its side because it's the only way I could get it into my entertainment stand. And even then, I had to like move things around and like, oh, can I fit my PS3 on my PS4? And is that going to overheat anything? But I gave up and I was like, I moved it to a different shelf. It's sitting on top of my original NES now, upright. It looks like a refrigerator. The PS5 looks like a Keurig, and the Xbox Series X looks like a refrigerator. There's no getting around it. They look like this looks dumb. That looks ridiculous.
Like the PS5 looks like back in the 1980s when they're like, "What do you think the future looks like?" And then someone drew a PS5. That's
tower.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It looks like a tower in Mumbai or some shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
The controller, like, I honestly will occasionally mix up my. This happened the other day. Like, I was like, "Why isn't my fucking Xbox turning on?" I'm pushing the controller's clearly on. I was using my Xbox One controller.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's textured more on the Series X controller, and it has a nice capture button, which I thought was missing from the Xbox One. PS4 just has that nice little capture button if you want to screen cap something.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
want to screen cap something on the Xbox One, you had to like hit the button, go into the menu. It was really not intuitive at all.
I guess I'll say the PS5 has that same button as well. They brought it over.
But other than that, it's almost the exact same. Like, do I have my? Of course, I put it away. It's almost the exact same controller. It feels nicer. Like I said, it's super textured, and the PS5 one is as well. I think it's actually, if you look really close, it's like
the PlayStation.
I was gonna say the inside of the fins on the PlayStation and then the back of the PlayStation controller. If you look super close, it's the sacred symbols.
Yeah.
There
Square,
they are.
triangle, circle, X, and it's an X.
Cross.
It's a cross. I call it X2. That's the only one that I break character on.
If you know what, it's a Japanese console. If the Japanese had invented the letter X, I would give them that, but they didn't. So
Well,
that is an English letter, and that is an X.
it's four shapes, and a cross is a shape, and X isn't a shape. That's what the argument is.
But yeah, the controller, like, it's immediately like, okay, I know where everything is. There's nothing, weird here. Aside from the fact that I'm relatively new to the Xbox controllers. I only got that Xbox One X last year for my birthday, so I only had it for a year basically. I will say the naming system that Microsoft uses is baffling. I don't.
It's
know what
atrocious.
Yeah. That's like, do I call it the SXX? Do I just call it the X now? Like, do I call it? It's dumb. I don't get it.
Being a retail employee, that's a nightmare every time somebody comes up and starts talking to me about it. I'm like, all right, which Xbox do you have? Well, I got the X.
I handle the phone now.
That doesn't help me.
All day long is answer that.
I got the S. There's two S's. You got to be more specific.
Yep. When you boot it up, it's the exact same home screen as the X.
Okay.
The Xbox One. There's no difference. Which was nice because I don't have to. I occasionally when I moving from the PS3 to the PS4. I had a lot of control over the PS3 crossbar menu.
Oh yeah, where you put stuff.
How I organize things and everything like that. PS4, not so much.
Well, you can put it in folders, but yeah.
Yeah, but, there's stuff
after they added the update, years later.
Fair.
Yep. And it'll automatically move whichever one you most recently used to the front of the line.
Right.
Xbox, it's the Xbox, home screen. There's no difference. To what Brent was saying about the saves and the cloud and everything, sounds like PlayStation is still kicking ass as far as how their save system works. You can go in, you can load individual save files, delete individual save files. Every Xbox save thing I have is just one thing. You can't get rid of a single save. You got to get rid of everything, and I have no control over whether or not it's automatically updated or not, which has caused problems before. It trying to sync it every single time, and it just won't load the game because it gets stuck in some stupid sync. That's more of Xbox's their online system than it is the Series X. That's because that was happening with the Xbox One too.
Okay.
I think Sony is just better. They have a better system for save file, but that's such a minor thing. And as far as the games go, obviously, Series X lackluster launch. It was I got Valhalla. Yep. So I had something. I don't even particularly care for Assassin's Creed games anymore, but I just wanted something. And I couldn't get another Yakuza game without no, I have too many I need to play.
Yeah, I'm in the midst of that right now. I'm halfway through 2, and it's shit. There's I have 4 more, and then I'm halfway through Judgment, so I'm in a bad place.
A conscious decision that instead of starting with 0, I'm gonna start with 1 playthrough and then go back to 0, which is gonna take me even longer now, but whatever. But it does have Game Pass. Which there's that was the big thing because there's immediately all of these games that as long as you have Game Pass Ultimate, you have immediate access to. You just got to download them. EA just put a ton of their games on it. So one of the first things I downloaded was Fallen Order.
Nice.
That's mostly what I've been because I said I only have the one game, so it's either I've been loading Xbox One games onto my. I'm basically kind of using it as an extra Xbox One right now, which seems bad, but whatever. I've been either playing those to see does this run better,
right?
Does it load faster? Or I've been downloading indie games off of Game Pass. I've been having I talked about it earlier, Haven. I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's a sci-fi RPG relationship simulator with it's chill beats to study to the game as far as the concept goes. It's gorgeous. It's got a 2-minute watercolor opening. It's a beautiful game, and once you load it up, it's less than a minute to get into the game, and then there's a little bit of loading time between stages, but it's 10-15 seconds. It seems like it loads a lot faster. It's not something I tend to pay attention to because I get so distracted so easily with literally anything around me. Valhalla, there's I'd say probably 30 seconds loading into the game, and then as you're moving around, there's like it seems like everything's open. I haven't seen any, even the death, like when you die, when you reload, it's pretty quick compared to what I was seeing from last generation. That being said, I'm gonna have to get more games and actually really look at it and pay attention, because again, I get so distracted. And as far as like I was saying earlier, as far as tech specs go, like I've never cared. Content is king. It's the games that matter. That's always what has, with literally this generation exception, that's always what has led me to get whichever console I end up getting first, is which games are going to be on it. It was a toss-up on games this time around. Like, they both had stuff I wanted. I just happened to snag a Series X as opposed to a PS5. So.
Gotcha. Do you feel, when you've played Valhalla, do you feel that graphically it's improved since last gen? Like, would anything kind of take you by surprise of how it looked or how it felt overall?
Yeah. It feels a lot smoother. The games have changed a lot since I played the last Assassin's Creed 2, so that's a different for me. But I can tell just like looking at like when you have characters talking, you don't like it. Andromeda kind of exemplified this, where like when things are kind of, and I don't know, rendering in game or what the word is, but like it's not an actual cutscene for the conversation; it's just the in-game stuff. Yep. People kind of look around randomly, weirdly, like they're distracted in conversations. It definitely doesn't happen with Valhalla. Everything is incredibly smooth, going from area to area. There was a little bit of problems with some screen tearing originally, but they patched that.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason I was watching some Digital Foundry stuff, and apparently I don't remember exactly what the issue was, but there was like weird screen tearing, and the PS5 was outperforming it when it probably shouldn't have. Like, the Xbox Series X is a stronger piece of hardware than the PlayStation for sure. But once they patched it, there was a little bit more parity to it.
For the size of that game, like everything that I would expect problems in, I haven't seen it. Like you can look forever in that game. There's no the image stays pretty crisp and clear. I'd expect some graphical downgrading the further something gets, but as far as I've been able to tell, everything seems really everything is just crisp and clear and nice. That's really the only new game that I've had to test it out with. And again, I don't even really consider it a Series X game, which is a problem right now because most of the games out were built for the last generation. Most of the games were built for the last generation with upgrades to the current one.
Right. Yeah, I think that was
they're not designed to take full, and that's how it is with any launch. They haven't figured out how to take full advantage yet. You know. There are caveats to that. There are games that were clearly not designed for the last generation. I think
but marketed towards it.
I'm gonna be able to test. I haven't done it yet, and it's mostly because, you guys know me, my gaming schedule is psychotic. I'm constantly playing something on one console or another, so I don't have as much time to devote to the Xbox stuff. Also, I got in a lot of trouble for buying it, so I haven't been able to get any other game.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission. I like your style, bud.
So it's my ability to test it out has been limited to Game Pass, basically.
Fair enough.
But what I'm gonna do this weekend is I'm finally gonna put Control on there. That's got a pretty big upgrade to it. I want to say it's 40 or 60 gigabytes or something like that. It's huge. But I know people were freaking out about the ray tracing, and they were on last gen, oh, look at the ray tracing and Control. It's okay, but that's right when everyone started really talking about ray tracing. So I'm gonna check it out and see how it looks on the Series X.
Yeah, that was the big thing, is ray tracing didn't exist in the previous gen. So when ray tracing Control was one of the first games that utilized it in a meaningful way, and apparently that was the thing that I this is accounts of other people. I didn't play Control with ray tracing, but the way that the colors and everything would hit, and there were times that like he was scaring himself because like the colors and the way that things were reflecting off of like I don't even remember what they are, but like you see like the little apparitions or whatever throughout the game.
Yeah.
It's like a little fuzzy ball spot or whatever. Like it's not a thing, but like I don't know if I'm showing this very well, but like you would see the reflection off of it, like when you walk into those areas that are like taken over by the
hiss.
God, it's been like a year since I played this game. You gotta help me with some
The hiss.
whatever the evil dudes are.
The hiss.
The hiss.
Can he hear me?
Can you hear us, Brent?
What happened?
Yeah, his mic changed, right? Like there was a change
I thought
in his mic.
yeah.
Can you hear us now, Brent?
There I am.
Okay.
I'm getting too
Why do you
and I'm
sound
bumping
weird
through.
and
You're
not
good.
responding?
Yeah.
The hiss, like when you're in an area that's been taken over by the hiss, and like there's like a wavy, ripply pattern. Well, they include they include ray tracing on those weird like ripples. So like you'll see reflections of things that like can spook you because like it shouldn't. It's not a thing that's there. It's a reflection of something, but like the way that it's moving in that area, like it adds like a whole other element of creepiness and like uncertainty
incredibly
to something that already you feel that already, but then to use this effect that just amps that all the way up to 11, so to speak, like that, that's something that is a literal game changer because now this thing has a whole nother feel to it that it didn't even have before. So like that's the sort of stuff that I'm excited to get more and more of. And like the ray tracing, this is something, and granted I don't think I would have picked up on this as much. This is something I pick up on because I watch a lot of like Digital Foundry stuff, and they're like, hey, here's why this looks good, and I'm like, oh, they're right. But like human skin, right, is partially translucent. I don't know if anyone is aware of that or not. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Light.
Yeah. So human skin is partially translucent. So light gets into it, and then reflects out.
Vitamin D.
And and they can use ray tracing to show that. So you obviously don't see inside their skin or anything, but like they can add extra layers of like where things shine off of and where light reflects properly, and because they can use those techniques with ray tracing, like people look real. Like we're still in the middle of the uncanny valley, sure, but like it just feels like slowly we're taking steps across it.
Yep. Yeah, and like I said, like that's what I'm probably going to use to really test it out, because that's one of the that came out so late in the last gen's life cycle is making the most of the last gen hardware. And I don't feel like I'm really going to get a chance to test what it can do otherwise outside of that until we start to get more of the exclusives, unfortunately, that are coming out for the current gens. Like medium, medium, and a couple other ones coming out.
And
because unfortunately, we designed solely for that in mind.
I laugh too because we look at the games that are coming out right now, right, and they look stupid good. You're like, what? How do they even do this?
Yeah.
And then if you think about it in the context of like when the PlayStation 3 first came out, you had Resistance, which by the end of the PlayStation 3, you had The Last of Us. You look at Resistance on one hand, which looks like plastic toys, and then The Last of Us, which looks like people doing people stuff. You're like, whoa, this is a huge jump. And then on that same note, you go to the PS4 where you have like Battlefield 4, which look good, but like still problematic in places. And you look at the games that started on that console versus The Last Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, where like it's not photorealistic, but boy, they're pushing boundaries that like you didn't think should be possible on this hardware.
Right.
So when I look at something
In
like
some cases, they're not.
and when I look at something like Demon Souls and I look at something like Miles Morales and I go, these are the games we're getting on day one. This is the resistance of PS3. This is the resistance of PS4 or Battlefield or wait, I don't even remember what was like a console launch exclusive.
I gotta say, I loved Resistance, so like I'm feeling targeted.
No, Resistance is I love Resistance. Don't get me wrong. That is a great. But like graphically, when you look at that versus where we ended up, you're like, there's a huge gap there, right? Like, that's the sort of thing that has me excited about the future of both the PlayStation and the Xbox hardware. I mean,
it's just it's fun to make those comparisons too. I always like to go back and look at like, oh, Mario 64, and then like what was the really big game on the 64? Turok Oblivion, Shadows of Oblivion, and like that had actual lip syncing and full audio. Like, but yeah, no, that's the thing. Like we're seeing things that are kind of designed to run on these, but they're basically built with like a previous gen framework. You know?
Yes.
It's gonna be a little while before we can see, especially with the Xbox, with the lack of games at launch, before we can really see what's going on. Because even with Game Pass, like all those free games, most of them were available before.
Yep.
Right.
Now, like I said, I've been having a lot of fun with Haven, though. Like the movement in that game, the music, everything flows. The way the wind moves through the grass is gorgeous.
Sure.
It is a Series X game. It's also on PS5. Weirdly enough, it's on Xbox One, but not PS4. It won't be on PS4 till next year.
Well, I'll have you know that I started downloading Haven when you told me it was like lo-fi hip-hop beats to chill to and relationship simulator. I was like, well, I'm going to download that right now.
Nice.
The music is gorgeous. I love it. Like I risked a copyright strike on YouTube to include the opening video.
It did.
The intro cinematic. I was like, I'm doing it. It's too beautiful. I don't care. Enigma watched a little bit of my playthrough of it.
Yep.
He seemed to think
We're 2 episodes in, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not really, aside from, testing, especially with, getting in trouble for buying it and not being able to buy any new games because I kind of had to give up all my holiday presents.
Whoops. Mistakes were made.
I'm still married. I'm not divorced yet.
Yeah.
The only way I'm really
Just
gonna
keep
be able
walking
to
that tire.
whatever's on Game Pass for the previous gen games that get upgrades. And even with the upgrades, like it's not gonna be the same as something that's built and designed from the ground up
Yep.
to run on the Series X. So
yeah,
it's gonna take me a little longer to get those kind of graphical comparisons and things like that. Everything runs really smooth. Loads are much faster, I've found. But outside of that, like I will say, from what I've seen, Sony definitely winning on the controller. Like like I said, the only real update is it's more textured and there's an extra button.
Okay.
The nice thing though is that I can use the Xbox One controllers. I can use them on the Series X. So
okay.
If I do get like a multiplayer game, I can just sync one of my Xbox One controllers to it and then play multiplayer.
It's funny because you see the clear differences in vision between both consoles and both companies and what they're trying to accomplish, where Xbox is trying to do the Apple thing of like iterative, but like you can still play it on the old thing, whereas Sony still is subscribed to the hard break new console generation.
It's
and
steps as opposed to slow.
I'm curious to see how that affects development in the future. So like in the next 4 years, we'll say.
Yeah.
Where you've got like your where PlayStation development and Xbox development have both hit a stride and they're really starting to put some like real gems forward. Because unfortunately, with most console generations, like the first year or two tend to be a little bit weak. Like
I'm gonna say the game because I don't know when Medium comes out, but the game I'm probably gonna be paying the most attention to because I'm so familiar with it, like seeing it run on the Series X, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, like the remaster. That's where I'm probably gonna really start.
Yeah.
what did they do to make this worth it, to make use of the new tech?
I'm anticipating it's gonna be a shinier version of the same thing. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're rebuilding it. I think they're just gonna throw like coat of paint on it and kick it back out there, which is fine. Like they don't need to do anything to those games. They're literally almost perfect.
I gotta replay through the first 2 games for
I mean, Mass Effect 2 may be one of the greatest games ever made. Like that's hard to argue.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody came up to me and said that, I'd be like, oh, you're not wrong. Like it's like story, gameplay, like just everything, music, everything about that game is like literally almost perfect.
You're not gonna sell Enigma on playing it, unfortunately.
His loss.
He shot everyone in the first one, and he was like, "I'm done." I think.
Don't judge Mass Effect 3 or Mass Effect 2 off of Mass Effect 1. I like Mass Effect 1, big stupid nerd, but Mass Effect 2 is a much better game.
Mass Effect 1, yeah, but it's a different beast than Mass Effect.
Mass Effect 1 is unreal in the way that like old school WRPGs used to be, where it's like, here's a zillion guns and none of them matter. You gotta know it. It's like, okay.
There's 8 different kinds of ammo, and they all only work in one specific situation, and you can get through without ever changing them, but you should probably know what's going on.
Here's 15 suits, and one of them gives you +1 to something you don't know if it matters or not. It's like,
I still have no idea what the fuck amps do.
No, but I put them on everything I can.
Yeah, exactly.
Drive around in our stupid warthog thing, the Mako, to hate your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess I will, because I do want to see very.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, like until we get more games out on the Xbox, I'm kind of stuck with upgrades from previous gen or whatever's on Game Pass at the moment, which is still like a lot. Like I said, EA dumped so much stuff on there.
Yep, because they got the thing with EA. But like that's why I say when I buy an Xbox, because I will. Like I am buying. Yeah, like I will never purchase a physical game for that Xbox console. I won't.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll have Game Pass, and then I'll have every Microsoft exclusive. I'll have all the EA games. I'll have all these cool indie games that I probably get to on other things or can't afford.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just handing you this literal treasure hoard,
which
for like such a like less than the cost of Netflix per month, which is stupid.
It goes to what you were saying about like how the 2 different philosophies approaching the consoles, and like it's like, you know, Series X immediately backwards compatible all the way back. Yep. You know, whereas I still couldn't play a PS3. If I wanted to play I don't know, Infamous 1. It's like I'd have to load it. I'd have to get my PS3.
That's the biggest thing that I think Sony misses the mark on, is like
you don't get why they don't do
their library going back to the PlayStation 1 is probably it depending on who you're talking to is just as treasured as like the Nintendo library. Mm-hmm. Except the Nintendo library has been hoarded out like 100 times.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got all these great games that are just held hostage.
I will say, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's like they have to know. Everyone talks about it. Everyone asks them to do it. You know, it's always one of the questions. Like immediately, one of the questions: backwards compatibility. But I will say the shit slipped my mind. Give me 1 sec. The like Live Ultimate or Game Pass Ultimate versus PlayStation Plus. I did the math a little. It was a little while ago, like a month or 2 ago. It might have changed since then. I did the math. If you buy month to month on Game Pass Ultimate versus a full year, there's no difference in price at the end of the year, which is fucking baffling to me, because you can get PS Plus. Like you constantly get discounts on that for a full year.
Yeah.
Especially if you're careful and you shop online, because they're constantly throwing. Here's a year of PlayStation. Normally $60. Get it for $30.
Right.
Yeah. You can find it for 30 or 40 pretty regularly.
Almost constantly. I literally because I take advantage of that every time. I have probably PlayStation Plus through this entire next console generation already paid for.
Yeah, can't hurt.
But yeah, no, it's, like I have the freedom of everything I already own, but like I'm hamstrung with like the new stuff,
Yeah.
and I would like to play Cyberpunk. I've literally only seen the two extremes. Reviews and running on PC, reviews running on last gen. I've seen almost nothing for Series X or PS5.
Well, so as somebody who is playing Cyberpunk on the PlayStation 5, what I will tell you about it is looks and runs fine. Yes, there are bugs. It is it's like a Bethesda level of bugs. Like,
Like, New Vegas at launch,
yeah, it's like a new Vegas launch right now. It's definitely, but like even already they just released hot fix like 1.05,
Mm-hmm.
and it cleared up a ton of stuff. And I know in January they're gonna clean up some more, and
I
then
was
in
gonna say,
February
like,
they're gonna clean up
January
some more.
next year. That's supposed to be the big, like, the Series X proper patch.
Mm.
I think that got pushed back until the game works.
Well, I just knew it was sometime next year.
Yeah, I think they were originally saying like
the same game without the upgrade. Yeah.
yeah. My plan is to play through Cyberpunk once as it is, as I'm playing it right now, and then I'll wait for the big PS5 patch before I dive back into it for a second playthrough, because it warrants a second playthrough. There's a ton of differences I can already tell just from what I've done.
Damn it! I just realized.
What?
I'm probably gonna have to get the next Final Fantasy VII remake release on the Series X, which means I'm gonna have to buy Final Fantasy VII.
Are they gonna release Final Fantasy
Oh wait,
VII
no, yeah,
on
no, never mind.
I mean, they might. It's possible.
It's a chance.
I answer so many stupid questions at work right now with the consoles that it's starting to infect my brain.
Yeah,
Understandable. So you guys kind of went into it with that whole part, but I kind of wanted to ask you guys next, is there anything that you guys would want improved or maybe isn't super great about your consoles? Brent, why don't you start if there's anything you got?
The UI could use some work. It's like there were some things that they did to the PS4 UI that made it better, that they have just for a baffling reason neglected to put into the PS5, which is silly. I'm sure within a year a lot of those will be worked out, and it's just it's stupid little stuff. Like, it used to be that you could, when you're looking for your PlayStation save, for example, you could just go like to the game that you're on, hit the options button, and then there was a PlayStation thing, and you could just get your save right from there, and it was easy. Now you actually have to like go to all of the saves and find your save. So like there's little things like that that I would like to see improved. I mean, outside of that, I really think they've got something special with PlayStation 5. Like, I'm always gonna say add backwards compatibility. I don't think that's a very egregious thing to ask for at this point. Like, I mean, you can get PlayStation 1 games working on an Xbox Series X right now, so like you're telling me you can't do it on a PS5?
Right,
Like,
right.
It's almost becoming just a choice at this point. And to me, that's just I understand with the PS3 because the architecture was wildly different. But like, if we're talking pure emulation, I was emulating PS1 games back in like 2002.
Yeah.
Like, I still had to have the disc and put the
Right.
disc in, but like the program would run it and it would run reasonably well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 2020. Like, Sony, come on. Like, it's a choice now. It really is a choice now.
It feels like they're doing it intentionally, and it's like the only thing I can think of. It's like some fucking Japanese guy was like, he made this decision, and then like he was like dishonorably murdered in a duel, and like that was his like dying thing. Is
Well,
like,
no, I'm sure what happened is I'm sure what happened is he brought it up, and then his Japanese over commit seppuku, and then he killed himself.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's he brought
It's really
great
tied up in some
shame to
executive
his
honor, though, yeah.
he brought great shame to his family name, so he was to cleanse his sins by committing ritual suicide.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
I heard that somewhere. Don't
Yeah, the
quote me
lore.
on it.
All right.
No, I would love to that those would be my two fixes. The back compat thing is just a thing, a drum I will never stop beating, and the UI. It's just a matter of time. It'll be fine.
Okay. And Jeff, anything that you noticed that either you
Um,
don't like or needs improvement?
a lot of the complaint because it's so similar to the Xbox One. A lot of the complaints are the same ones I had with that. You know, the save system is really like, why can't I just pick individual files and delete or download? You know, individual save states. No, I got to do the whole thing or nothing at all, and I can't control, you know, the automatic updating and syncing. There's no control over that. It's similar to Sony's decision with the backwards compatibility. It's like, I don't get why you're not giving this very simple, easy piece of control to players. You know, like I don't, especially games that like, because some of the stuff, Haven like auto saves. There's no manual save.
Okay.
But like, there is a way to, if I exit out of the game, go to the menu, and then make a copy of my save file. It's like, okay, I have separate saves. But like, before I figured that out, like if I wanted to go back for something, I would have had to delete the whole thing. Like, it's a weird decision. Otherwise though, like, more games, please.
Right.
Any game at this point that's exclusively to the console?
It's built for this console, yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, I booted it up and I was like, oh, I know where everything is. Like, it's a stronger, beefier, physically more ugly Xbox.
Let me ask this question, because this is something that's I've pondered on. But like, so you had the Xbox One X. You know, I'm doing it. You had the Xbox One X, and then you go out, you buy your big Series X, you come home, you plug it in, you're all excited, and it just looks the same. Like, to me, that almost feels disappointing. Like, to fire up your shine. It's kind of the same thing like when you get a new iPhone, and then you turn it on, and it's the exact same look as your old iPhone, and you're like, did I just spend $1,200 on this thing? Like that's like that's a weird thing to me, but like, it was exciting to turn on the PlayStation 5 and be like, oh, where's stuff now? I wanna like dig through its crevices. Like, I want to see all the weird shit that it's got going. Like, and granted, it ended up being most of the same stuff, but like, it just felt new.
I did have a moment of that. Because like, you know, you boot up a PS3, it's like, you've got the floating lights and everything. You do the same thing with the PS4. There's
oh boy.
you know, and they changed enough between it. Like, Microsoft though has always treated this like, they treat it as half a multimedia machine. Like, half of the home screen is dedicated to random apps and things that you'll never use anyways. Like, it's essentially what it amounts to is a facelift, where like, okay, they could have tried to revamp the UI on that and everything like that, but like, instead they left it the same, and like, I assume focused that energy elsewhere, you know. So like, it would have been nice, but like I said, it's essentially the curtains rising. You know, that's not what I'm here for.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't need the Dolby fucking noise.
Well, so I guess the big reason I asked that, and you kind of alluded to it with your thing with the PlayStation, is like, when you're playing Astrobot, one of the like cool things when you get to the end of each level is they craft the skybox to be reminiscent of each PlayStation 1 through 4.
Huh.
So like, you get to the first one, and there's a bunch of TVs in front of you when you get to the end of the level, and it does the
oh, nice.
and then it like, and like, it does all the like really awesome like nostalgia stuff. Like,
and that's such a weird
that's
like,
such a
the game cares. Sony doesn't care about its previous stuff.
Like,
you know?
and there's such a reverence that Sony has for the past, which like you say, you don't feel because they just ignore their old games, but like, there's such a reverence for things like that. Like I get goosebumps when I hear like the string orchestra from the 3, or like the opening thing with the PlayStation 2 with the cones or whatever they were.
That's what I have. Like, that's what I have on my. That's my.
The
theme for my
background.
PS4. it's the legacy from the PS2.
It like those things to me like hold such a special place in my heart because I grew up with that. Like, I you know, my very first PlayStation I got, you know, back in '96, and or was it '97, 6 or 7, whatever. You know, I got my very first PlayStation, and like you turn it on and you get the black or the white screen with the big Sony thing, and then it flips to the and like there all of the all of that feels very special to me. And like when because I've owned an Xbox 360 and Xbox One in a couple different iterations, and I just don't know that I have that same feel. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm a little bit biased in that sense, but
you're definitely right. Like Sony treats their home menus like, you know, like almost like a place to chill out and be comfortable. Microsoft, it's literally menus, and it has been since the 360. It's like, okay, this is where your games are. This is where your social is. This is where
like
like that. Like they want it to be like almost a computer as opposed to a console.
The only Xbox interface I remember, and it's because of how bad it was, were the fucking blades. Like the blades, remember? Like oh my, just go on your computer and type Xbox blades. And like there's got to be a picture of it somewhere. Let me.
Yeah. Because again, like I didn't get it.
Xbox Blades UI. Oh my god. You'll as soon as you see it, you're gonna be like, oh shit, those things. Like they were. You had to hit the bumpers to go between the things. Oh my god.
It looks like somebody stacked a bunch of CDs on the side of the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Those were the blades.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, no, they.
It's unfortunate that that's the only thing I remember about Xbox UIs is the one that was the worst.
Yeah, no, the PlayStation has definitely always had in my opinion, a better like menu screen, just in terms of control and what you can do with it, and like Xbox, it's got so much stuff that I'm never gonna look at, you know. But it's there, and that's what they're doing, and that's what they've been doing for years, and I don't see them changing it, you know. So
sure, makes sense.
Whatever, you know, the game that I want, because I got the physical or the disc version, so the game that I want to play that I just put in is right there anyways. I don't need to go looking for anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything's done with the one button on the controller anyways. You hit that Xbox button and then you just games, movies, whatever I want right there. I don't need to go looking through
it's like why even have a UI if like you just end up getting into the console and use the little quick menu.
It's totally superfluous. So which might be why we have to have something. Yeah, just bring the old one over. Nobody uses it, so we gotta have something, you know.
Let's get it trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
Bring back the blades.
Yeah. Other than that, like no, it feels like a stronger, beefier, faster Xbox One X, which again I've only had for a little over a year, so you know I'm really late to the party on that console.
So like they're truly just kind of aping what Apple does, like right down to you buy the new iPhone, and like you bring over your profile, so like even the lock screen looks the same. Like, they just don't do anything different to it.
Essentially, you know. So like it's
which is fine. It's a choice.
Please.
And like at the end of the day, that these are such minor things because, like you say, I don't. You know, I have the nostalgia when it comes to all my PlayStation stuff because I'm still a child, not 35. But definitely for me, it's about the games. I go to where the games are.
All right, last question. Last question for both of you guys. Any worries about storage with how the size of these games are?
I've never had worries about storage. Like, I may be benefiting from the fact that I don't have a data cap. So if I had a data cap where it's like you can only do so much in a month, I would probably worry a little bit more. But like, I don't keep a bunch of stuff on my console. Like I'm perfectly happy to get to a point where I'm like, nope, I'm done with this. Delete it. Don't care. And
gotcha.
Like if I need to re-download it at some point, or I decide I want to re-download it, like I don't have this thing where I need to have like 700 games. Like at the ready right this second, just in case. Like but what if I want to play Infinity Warfare or something? It's like, no, I'm never gonna play Infinite Warfare. Like I don't even know why I would still have a copy of it. Like let's just move on.
Gotcha.
So like space to me, like you can easily fit 10, 15 games on there, which is more than I'll ever need.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to have that where like my PS3 has a 2 terabyte hard drive in it.
Damn.
And like as time goes on, as consoles get older, especially now, I imagine I'll still keep that a little bit, but like with my PS3, that store, like the PlayStation 3 store, is still open right now. It's still functioning.
Yeah.
But like when they start to close that down and it loses online functionality, it's gonna be like, okay, I have to get all of my digital games from my library on there right now. I've got to make sure there's room for it.
Sure.
The physical games, who cares? I've got the disc, what doesn't matter. But as far as this console goes, like it's got a 1 terabyte hard drive. I haven't gotten close to filling up
Right.
my One X.
Yeah, me neither.
I put a ton of stuff on it. I've had to delete some stuff from my PS4, but that's because like I consistently have like, freaking Red Dead 2 on there,
Yeah.
things like that. Like these giant, like the biggest size games of the previous generation, and it's still on there because like I don't want when I know I'm gonna want to play it again. When I do want to play it, I don't want to wait a half a day to download it.
Yeah.
Stupid ass Modern Warfare.
Yeah, that's the only time that's the only time
200 gigs.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever had to delete something from the PS4. It's because there's something I know I'm going to want to play, but I'm not playing right now. I don't want to re-download later.
Right.
But there's some new thing I want to download. Most things are like 40 to 80 gigabytes. It's fine.
Yeah.
If it probably weren't for 1 or 2 or maybe 3 games, I wouldn't have deleted anything off of the PS4 yet. Aside from small games.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's going that way with the Xbox as well.
Yeah, that's I like I say, I just come back to I'm perfectly fine if there's you say you hold on to things like Red Dead because but what if I want to play it? That's a huge file. I don't want to have to do it again, or you might play it soon. I'm still just like whatever. If I'm not playing, I'm not playing. I'm just gonna delete it, whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, like,
and if I prove myself wrong, I'll just re-download it. Take it, I'll waste an hour of my day and re-download it and do something else.
Yeah, it seems like Final Fantasy 15. That was the other one that took up a ton of space.
I downloaded Final Fantasy 15 on my PS5.
Yeah, nice.
It's got an uncapped frame rate and native 4K. Looks real good.
Cool. It seems like from what little I've looked into, like upgrading like external hard drives and things like that for the Series X, it seems like it's just plug and go.
Yeah, they have their own.
Yeah, the
special
Series
ones.
X has those
store the whole game and everything on there and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah, the Series X has those little cards that you have to use.
Yep.
Which is a cool idea. They are fucking expensive though.
Oh yeah.
God.
Well, that's how that's what it's gonna be going forward now. Like, we're gonna start to see, when we used to laugh at PC gamers anytime they had to upgrade something. It's like now that we're starting to get to those kind of hard drives and things like that, the SSDs, upgrading those is gonna be.
I'm willing to bet that I'm gonna give it 3 years. Write this down somewhere. We can have another podcast in 3 years. We are gonna start hearing rumors about a PS5 Pro and a Xbox Series Z or whatever stupid thing they name it at that point. Like, I think we're also gonna have.
It'll be a year and a half after the Switch Pro comes out. That we'll start hearing it. Yeah.
Here we go.
Well, yeah.
He's ready for it. Mark my words. PS5 Pro.
Oh God. All right.
2023. You get back with me.
There you go.
So,
We'll do.
I realized as I was saying all this, I'm still using like a 10-year-old plasma TV. So that may be.
Could be.
I have to upgrade that too.
Yeah, I'm in the market for a new TV here myself. So.
I had a choice between a console or a TV. I'm not buying a new TV during the holidays. I know how long those last. Get one in the summer.
Well, you know what? I'm single, so I'm gonna make whatever stupid decisions I want.
Boom. Nice. Awesome. Well, glad to hear you guys' thoughts on the next gen. Glad you guys have them and are enjoying them. And yeah, hopefully, obviously they'll continue to go with game releases on Xbox and things that happen on PS5. Go ahead, Jeff. What do you got?
One other thing, I just want to say, I'm really, really freaking glad that Switch doesn't use it, obviously, but both of them, you just have those non-polarized power cords now.
Yep.
You don't have, it's not proprietary or anything. I can have one cord plugged into the wall on my TV upstairs, and whichever one I want to bring upstairs, I can, and literally the same cables, the exact same cables. It's awesome. I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
nice.
That is a nice little bonus to.
It's such a small thing, but
Yeah.
Convenience.
It's so easy to bring stuff the kids want to play Untitled Goose Game. All right, I can just unplug the one thing and plug in the other, and they're good to go.
I didn't even think about that. I should buy another cord, bring it down here by my computer.
I literally just have there's just a cord. There's one of those that's not plugged in upstairs right now for whenever I want to bring something up.
Could have that PlayStation 5 down here in a couple minutes if that were the case.
I was going a totally different way with it. I thought Brent was going to be like, shit, I didn't think about that game, Untitled Goose Game, 2020 Game of the Year. Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure Untitled Goose Game was 2019.
Was it? Oh, shit, yeah, it was. Yeah, my bad. They did the whole Beaker segment. How did I forget the Beaker segment? Come on. My bad.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, a.k.a. Enigma9011, and today, once again, I was joined by Jeff, a.k.a. Jeff Reg, and Brent, a.k.a. Brent. Gentlemen, thank you guys for being on the podcast once again, chatting all the games and the next-gen excitement. Appreciate it. Definitely won't be the last.
I look forward to doing this again 3 years from now when I'm proved right.
You know it. Mark it in your calendars, people. If you guys want to catch the podcast live.
Pandemic, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's plan now.
Let's do it.
What's the thing at the end of Wet Hot American Summer? No, let's plan it for then and be there at that time.
Hey, Google, set a reminder for 2023.
8 p.m.
Also, my Google upstairs is yelling at me right now.
Oh.
That joke's for you guys.
That's all right. My wife upstairs is yelling at me, so.
Uh-oh. I'll wrap up fast.
Oh, my wife's a Google.
Oh.
See, if you just should have gotten Cortana,
Yeah, because she'll be alive for a long time. She's evil now, I think.
She is?
Dude, I haven't played any of them.
I don't know.
I got the Master Chief collection.
Well, you're
not just.
so many years behind.
Let me tell you about the deep and rich story of Halo, where green suit guy shoots all the bad dudes.
I played a little bit of it, and I was recording it for the YouTube channel, and I was like, I'm curious to see, because I feel like he's a big character, he's a recognizable character in video gaming, but Mario, Link, everybody, they've all got personalities, and as far as I know about Master Chief is he's green.
John Halo is gonna give them back their bomb, okay?
Yes.
That was the cliffhanger for the second game.
Good one. It was a good one.
I wish that was a joke.
Nope.
I wish that was a joke. That is the cliffhanger.
Gonna surf this thing right into
John Halo is gonna give them back their bomb.
If you want to catch this podcast live, you can. Just go to twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every other Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can join the chat like Papa Griff and Polar Knights did today. Join the chat, join the conversation. We'd love to have you because it always makes it more fun and exciting. If you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and SoundCloud the following Friday, where it's put as one big video in MP3 for your amusement. Just search Enigma9011. And remember, guys, merch store, get all of your swag over there, t-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand, support us. It would be greatly appreciated. Gentlemen, once again, thank you guys for being on. I do appreciate your time, all 3 hours of it that it was today.
You're never going to have both of us on and have it be short.
No, yeah. I mean, that's just the recording. Maybe I can chop it down.
I'll add an hour just for tangents.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't forget to tune in for Star Wars, a character from 50 years ago side story. It's going to be so good. You're going to see all the guys that you love and know, and it's not going to have anything Stay tuned. Fucking Star Wars.
This is gonna be funny when the actual like podcast version of this goes up, and all the like your entire rant from before,
Isn't in
the
there?
podcast started. Like, why does he keep bringing up Star Wars and getting really
This
angry?
man is angry for some reason. I don't understand.
I'm real angry about Star Wars.
That's why you guys show up live, pre-show content.
Right, Brent, put up a producer's note. Brent hates new Star Wars. I don't hate it. I love it, but it makes me very angry.
And you won't like him when he's angry.
No, I turn green and I wear purple shorts. It's terrifying.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
I'm not going to say that while the podcast part is live. Never mind.
Oh no.
I don't want to. I think I'm gonna disconnect before the podcast is over.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We will catch you guys on the next one.